Good evening, everyone. Can I get a motion and a second to reconvene the public session? All in favor? Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence to honor our servicemen and women? Thank you. At this time, I will invite all of you to please join us outside in the lobby where Mr. Vince Malafonte will present the dedication of this auditorium. We will also be followed by light refreshments afterwards, and then we'll reconvene.
I'm Mr. Pion, the principal of OBMS, and I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight on what is truly a momentous and special occasion. Tonight, we get to honor a very special person, John Michael Asher. I'm honored to be part of this moment. John was simply one of the best people I've ever known. Honest and caring. It is so fitting that we're dedicating an auditorium in his name. As his love for the students, the district and community has left a profound mark on our music and arts programs. And now with this dedication, we get to honor his memory, to give his name permanence and a place in our history. In that way, he'll always be with us. At this time, I want to introduce Mr. Malafonte, who will say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to have you all here this evening to help us honor John Michael Asher in a special way. I'd like to take a moment to welcome John's parents, John and Lucille, for being here, his wife Susan, son Thomas. On stage right now, his sisters Lori, Jackie, his brother Jim, their spouses, children, his nephews, family members. Thank you all for being here this evening. I'm honored to be here to speak about John and the lasting impact he had on the Connecticut Fine Arts and Music Education Program and on our community. John grew up in Bohemia and was an integral part of the Connecticut Music Department as a student. He attended Sycamore Elementary School, Oakdale Bohemia Junior High School, and graduated from Connecticut High School in 1992. While in high school, John was drum major of the marching band and a Tri-M Honor Society officer. After graduating from Connecticut, John went on to receive a bachelor's degree in music education from SUNY Potsdam, the Crane School of Music, a master's degree in music performance from Duquesne University, and later a certificate in school administration from LIU CW Post. John started his teaching career in 1998 as a high school band teacher at Sewanaka High School, and then taught at Newfield High School from 1999 to 2003, and then went on to teach at his alma mater, Connecticut High School, serving as the Wind Ensemble, Marching Band, and Jazz Ensemble Director, and Triumph Music Honor Society Advisor from 2003 to 2009. After his years in the classroom, John then became a Director of Fine Arts and Music Education at Connecticut until his passing in 2019. As Director, John was a strong advocate for all of his staff and students throughout the district, helping to create new programs such as our third grade music performance ensembles and strengthen the ones that were already established. Through his guidance and support, his students and staff were involved in festivals, competitions, parades, and concerts all over the country. Many of his students went on to pursue the arts at the college and career levels. John's legacy and love for music and the arts was unmatched and continues to inspire us all today. John always reminded everyone to do what you love what you do, and make a difference in the world, and that's a good day for a good day. The performance space here will now be known as the John Michael Lasher Auditorium. As we have our concerts, musicals, and other performances in this space, we will remember John as the friend, advocate, and inspiration he was to all of us and our program. I'd like to welcome up John's son Thomas to say a few words.
Thank you for being here on this special night. I know my sister Maggie, who is joining us on FaceTime from Penn State, would love to be standing here with me to share some thoughts about our dad. Our dad was the best. He was fun and talented, dedicated and loyal, a warrior and compassionate all at the same time. Maggie and I share endless, amazing memories with him, many of which took place right here in the Connecticut School District. From musicals to art shows, concerts, and marching band, Dad was all in. We were often by his side as he reminisced about his days as a T-Bird with fondness and pride. That's what brought him back here to Connecticut, first as a teacher and later as an administrator. Dad loved working with the students and teachers alike. He learned from both and often shared wonderful stories at the dinner table about the latest art technique he learned and couldn't do, or how he tried to play a string instrument and, well, couldn't do. And he truly embodied the philosophy, do what you love what you do, and make a difference. Maggie and I miss our dad every day, every moment, and we keep his memory and legacy alive in many ways, especially through our own music, education, and service. It means so much that Connecticut has chosen to honor and remember him as well, through the dedication of the Oakdale Bohemia Middle School Auditorium. We are grateful for your continued love, support, and most importantly, for giving our dad, John Michael Lasher, permanent recognition for his contributions to this community. Without a doubt, Dad made a difference in the world. Hopefully, all of those lives he touched will continue to live that philosophy and hold a piece of him in their hearts. Once a T-Bird, always a T-Bird. We love you, Dad.
We'll now unveil the sign and cut the ribbon, which will make the naming of this space official. After the ribbon is cut, we'll have the playing of our alma mater, Brave Connecticut, performed by our high school brass ensemble, led by Mrs. Stacy Stolberger. Come on up, please. If you guys want to grab the side each and do a little 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Family, you guys want to come all up together and keep this thing up here? Congrats, Ensemble. Thank you everyone again for being here this evening. I'd like to thank our Board of Education, our Central Office Administration, and the LBMS Administration for their support in naming this space for John Michael Asher. Thank you to John's family, our art music department staff, and all the community for joining us this evening to honor John. At this time, we'd like to invite everyone to the cafeteria for some light refreshments. Thank you very much.
Fred. Oh, hey. How are you? So you're in the wings.
That was a beautiful dedication of this auditorium to the Lasher family. Congratulations again. Can I please have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the October 10, 2023 meeting? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Can I please have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the October 24, 2023 meeting? Can I have a second? Everybody? A second. All in favor?
No.
No. I'm a yes.
I'm a no due to lack of transparency.
There were things added to the last meeting, things that we voted on that we were unaware, we violated, because we were not told changes to the meeting agenda, we were not told prior to the actual meeting and voting, so we voted two items on there that we were not aware of, and I speak for myself, so I just want to ask if somebody can just, maybe Chelsea, whose responsibility is to make sure that the board is notified and the public is notified of changes to the meeting agenda?
So we were notified in the exec that they were going to be added. I don't know if with all the commotion that was going on that day, if maybe it wasn't heard or.
We were never really big on walking things on until this year. Literally, surprise and executive, we have something, we're going to just add it to the agenda. We voted, we gave a consensus in executive where both of us voted no. Both of us assumed something was going to be put on paper and brought out to the next board meeting as it has been done many times prior. And that is not what happened. There was a lack of transparency, and there was definitely a lack of communication with this board. So in retrospect, we will be re-voting on that tonight, and we just want to make it clear where we stand. We're no, because again, if there wasn't a lack of transparency, and we had stronger leadership telling us what exactly was being put on the board instead of things being, it looks like snuck on during executive, especially when I walked out of the room and I was not there, and then I came back and there was a lot of commotion going on that day. So like I said, we're voting no, and just on the record.
So to be fair, we hadn't had motions presented and walked on all the time in the past.
Investigations of board members?
Not that in
Was there investigations of board members walked on the same night that a discussion was had in executive? Because I will tell you with certainty, we make sure that everyone is aware of what's on that agenda. We have always made sure, no matter who was board president, I've been on this board, this is my 5th year, 5 different board presidents, and everyone always made sure.
Jackie, I can't control whether you stay in the room or walk out, but it was clear, at least to
You can control letting us
other board
know.
members that
You
that was
can
being walked on.
control letting us know. You can control communication, which you lack with at least us two, and you most definitely lack transparency. So let's not get into that yet. That'll be something for later on.
And as far as letting us know in executive, either way, on the agenda, it states changes to the meeting agenda, and that was completely skipped over. So as far as I understand, we were in violation because the public didn't know, nobody knew that items were added. So I just wanted to ask again for clarifications. I don't think anybody answered before. Who's responsible for letting everybody know that there are changes to the meeting agenda during a public session?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
Maybe provide some clarification. So the changes to the meeting agenda, in order to be in violation, the board would have to vote on approving the agenda as the first item on the agenda, parliamentary procedure sort of thing. It hasn't been done in this district long before me. So as far as the agenda becomes officially during the start of the public meeting. That clarifies it. I can provide some additional information to you over the next couple of days too, if you'd like. I just would have to actually look at that a little bit.
Absolutely, and in the future, when we have changes to a board agenda in executive, they should be as transparent as possible to the community as well as every board member. If that means we have to do every single vote as a single vote, we have to pull everything for a separate vote, and we actually tell the public what exactly each vote is, maybe that's what we should start doing. Maybe we should start saying, like, this is for a superintendent update, this is for, like, we do fund discussion pieces, this is student government. It really shouldn't be from numbers 1 to 8, and we don't give everybody transparency. We certainly don't give them any idea of what we're voting on. A lot of people just hear numbers.
I actually like the idea of voting for everything separately, but if it would make you feel better that you know what you're voting for, then that's fine. You could absolutely do that.
I just think that when two people in executive are clear as day, say that they are 100% not giving consensus, regardless if it's going through, we want there's a reason why we're voting no. We're voting no because of the funds to the district, the fees to the district, versus the evidence that can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, prove one way or another. That's the issue. So some people will vote to do, and that costs the district $15,000 to $20,000, if not more. And some people, like ourselves, will view the evidence and say, the evidence speaks for itself. I'm confident the evidence speaks for itself, as well as you've seen the evidence.
You were advised by legal.
Legal gives recommendations. Legal gave a recommendation.
Yes.
We can actually, as a board,
I follow-
vote to do, well, you do whatever anyone tells you. It's called being a rubber stamp. I don't. I actually do what saves our district and does our due diligence. If you can see evidence, and 4 board members are in a room with a superintendent, a head of security, an assistant super, and a district clerk, it's a little bit tough to make, like I said, either way, we voted no, we're gonna vote no today, and we can move on from that.
That's fine. Right now, we will have, the motion carried. There was 3 yeses to accept the minutes.
Please make sure that me and Jacqueline Lorenzo are no, so we can vote yes to the next.
We will now have a special presentation from Special Ed and Student Services by Ms. O'Hara and Ms. Casandi.
Good evening. Thank you for having us today to present to you. We're just going to do a short presentation. I'm going to do on special services, special education services, what that entails, difference between an IEP and a 504, and some supports and some people who can contact in case you have any questions about services. Okay, so first off, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between an IEP and a 504. There are often questions about, what is the difference between the 2 documents and the services that students are entitled to between an IEP and a 504. The IEP, Individual Education Plan, comes from Special Education Individuals with Disabilities Act, IDEA, where the Section 504 plan comes from the Civil Rights Act of 1973. In order to be eligible for an IEP, you have to have a disability, one of the 13 disability categories. It has to meet one of the IDEA-defined disabilities, and it has to require some kind of specialized instruction to access the curriculum. So what that means is that we need to modify the curriculum in some way in order for the students to be able to access the gen ed curriculum. The IEP offers, like I said, specialized instruction. It offers accommodations such as extended time, test read. Those are just some examples of that. Some modifications to the curriculum, like reduced homework or reduced classwork, and it can also provide related services. Students that qualify for an individualized education plan are students that are ages 3 to 21 or until they receive a high school diploma, they graduate from. Team, as well as a special educator that services the student, a general educator, a school psychologist, a representative from the district that knows the programs and who can make decisions, who usually is your CSE chairperson. And we often review your CSE or your IEP at least annually, but as often as the parent or the district, the classroom teacher feels is necessary to make adjustments to the plan if needed during the school year. The 504 is a disability that impacts the major life functioning, such as learning. It could be eating, it could be walking, it could be breathing, it could be thinking, it could be concentration. There's a whole list of reasons why you can have a 504. Students that typically have a 504 are in gen ed classes, and we make accommodations for them. We give them accommodations so that they can, they may need to test read, they may need extended time, they may need frequent breaks. We may do some modifications, changes to what is taught in the student's curriculum, like reduced homework. And they can often have related services on a 504. Typically, we don't like to put services on a 504 plan if there's going to be goals related to what we're doing with the student, because we want a way to monitor and monitor how the students are doing with those goals. So we really would like to do that through an IEP instead of a 504 plan. The member of your 504 committee is your parent and staff member that is the child. The frequency of reviewing can vary, but we typically, in this district, we like to do it annually. Okay, so if you have questions about your child, they're struggling, they already have one of these accommodations or these plans, who do you contact? I put this slide up because I have had some changes in the department in the last year, so just so that everybody is familiar with who is where in our elementary schools. If you have concerns about anything that your child is struggling, academically, social, emotionally, anything like that, your first contact would be the student's teacher. Have a meeting with the student teacher, see what's happening. If you're struggling, you're still not getting an answer, go to the building principal or the school psychologist. After that, we have an elementary coordinator, Mary Anastasio, who oversees the elementary 504s and students with IEP. And our elementary chairperson new this year is Alicia Fontano. And then, of course, you can always reach out to myself. In the middle school, you would follow the same thing, except that you would also reach out to the student's guidance counselor and school psychologist, building principal. We recently had a new change in our middle school coordinator. Erin Jones is now our new middle school coordinator. And then, of course, you can always reach out to me. At the high school, same list of people, student's teacher or IEP teacher. When we get to the secondary level, the special education teachers have a group of students that they are case managers for, so we call them the IEP teacher. So a lot of times you'll get contacted by one special ed teacher, even though your student or your child may have multiple special ed teachers that they see throughout the day. The guidance counselor, school psychologist, the building principal, our high school coordinator, Donna Conlaney, and then of course myself. Last year we added a 504 coordinator, so Jenna Harper is our 504 coordinator. If you are struggling or you think your child needs a 504, you would go to the student's teacher or guidance counselor, the school psychologist, building principal, the 504 coordinator, and then myself. Sometimes when we get requests for special education services, we get a referral for testing, one of the CSE chair people is going to reach out to you. They're going to talk to you about what's been happening with your child in class. Have they gone through any RTI services? That's the first step before we get to a referral for special education. So we may suggest and recommend that before we do testing, let's try some of these response to interventions. Let's try some of these interventions before we do that. And it's important to know and understand that when we do RTI, we do have to do it for a certain amount of time. We usually do it for about a 6 to 8 week period to see if that intervention is working and seeing if the child is responding to that intervention. During that time, we may change interventions. We may say, this is just not responding, he or she is not responding, so we want to do something a little different. So we might change that intervention and then that clock would kind of start over. So although it seems like it takes a long time before you get to that instead of referring to special education, we want to make sure that it's not just something that we need to do an intervention and the child can catch up and is making progress before we go through special ed procedures. Okay. So who can refer to the Committee on Special Education? Parent of a child, anybody, a doctor, the Office of Mental Health can, if the student's in a residential placement, their residential placement can as well. Anybody in the school district, so anybody working with your child can also refer to special education. An officer, a judge can also refer children to special education, professional staff members, and the student, if they're 18 years of age or older, or an emancipated youth, they can also refer themselves to special education. Okay, so the CSC process timeline, once you refer your child to special education, we're going to send you a consent from my office. That's going to be a consent for testing. It's going to list all of the tests that we're going to do to evaluate your child. Once you receive that and sign it, send it back to my office. We will then, within 60 days, we will test, and we will hold a CSC meeting to determine whether or not the child is eligible for special education. We will hold within that 60-day process. We're going to hold the meeting, we're going to discuss, we're going to create the IEP together. We are going to then, anybody who does have an IEP, we will put the program in place. What the recommendations were, but not the student's name will go as part of the board agenda, where you approve the programs that we have put in place for students. This is especially important when we make a recommendation for an out-of-district placement, because there are times where I might have to recommend an out-of-district placement, and we would have to contract with that out-of-district placement, in which case I would need your permission in order to sign that contract and allow that student to go to that placement. Then we would hold an annual review meeting. We can always hold a meeting at any time, just because we do it every year annually doesn't mean it's only one time a year that we hold a meeting. We can hold it whenever, either you or the teacher, anybody feels that there's a need for an update or a meeting or a discussion. Within ConnectOut, we have a continuum of services that we offer to all of our special education students. At the elementary level, we offer consultant teacher, direct and indirect. What that means is that we have a student that's in a general ed classroom. A consultant teacher indirect means that they are consulting with the classroom teacher on what they can do to help the student within the classroom. A direct consultant means that it's directly related to the child, so the teacher is in the classroom working directly with the student and the teacher. We have resource room in all of our buildings throughout the district. Resource room, students in a general ed classroom, they get pulled out for one period a day. It's typically 5 students to one resource room teacher. We have integrated co-teaching classes. That's where special ed students and gen ed students are together in one classroom. We have a gen ed teacher and a special ed teacher in one classroom as well. Those are located at the elementary level at Sycamore and at Cherokee. We have special class 813, 811, 1211. What that means is that there's 8 students, 1 teacher, 3 teaching assistants in several classes, 8 students, 1 teacher, and 1 classroom TA, 12 students, 1 classroom teacher, and 1 classroom TA. Those are located at Bosque Elementary School. And then we have our special class, 15 students, 1 teacher in Sycamore and Cherokee. And we have related services in all of our buildings. Related services could include things like speech and language, occupational therapy, physical therapy, hearing services, and vision services. At our secondary buildings, in the middle school and the high school, we have the same continuum. We have a consultant teacher, direct and indirect, resource room, integrated co-teaching in all 3 buildings. In OBMS, we have our 811 classes and our 1211 classes. Last year, we decided to put them together. They used to be each one in RMS and one in OBMS. and we felt that it was important for them to be together. They could co-plan together, they could do activities together. I think that's working fairly well, having the two classes in one building, OBMS. We have 15, one in both RMS and in OBMS, and related services in all three buildings, which again would be speech, OT, PT, hearing, and vision therapy. So like all buildings have a PTA, special education has their own special education PTA called SEPTA, Connect SEPTA. We meet monthly, and I'm going to bring up our SEPTA president. And I'm just going to have this Jill Connor, she's the president of our SEPTA. She's just going to tell you a little bit about SEPTA and what SEPTA does for the special education students.
Connect SEPTA Special Education Parent Association represents any family within the Connect School District that has special needs in their educational process. This involves children that have disabilities, children that receive support services, and children that are in the gifted program. We are here to support all families in any questions or needs you may have. SEPTA serves as a resource for families in the district. We can help bridge the gap between the district and the parents, helping at times to navigate through the special education world. Any parent can reach out to a SEPTA board member at any time if they need support in any facet. The meeting schedule, all meetings start at 7 p.m. in central office. There is a virtual option available for people that are unable to attend. January 18th is our next meeting, then February 15th, March 21st, April 18th, and June 6th. The topics of discussion will be annual review process, OWDD. We have a fantastic transitions presentation with a plethora of information, behavioral challenges, how to get your child services, guardianship, and the attorney presentation. The 2023-2024 board members are myself as the president, Nicole Hanisch is the vice president, Michelle Petrano-Carrigan is the secretary, she's here. Laura Ortiz is our treasurer. How to contact us, we have our own website, it's www.connect.septa.org. We have our own Facebook page, is the Connect.SEPTA, and you can always email us, the ccSD@gmail.com. How to join, you can click on the membership link that is on our website, on the Facebook. You could see it in some of the Facebook groups, or send in the paper membership form found on our Facebook page and in the virtual backpack. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to Julie and all of the SEPTA members. You guys really know about hanging out with the kids. I've seen it firsthand, and it really is wonderful to have you guys all. And really, at Connect, we've always had a strong SEPTA, thankfully, that really, fights for our students, advocates for the special education program, and all of the students. Thank you.
I agree, I couldn't have said it better. I echo everything that she said. You ladies are amazing. Thank you for everything that you do for our students.
So I'll then turn it over to Mr. Sun.
Good evening. Thank you to the board, Dr. Senamore, Cabinet, for inviting me here tonight. I do want to do a brief presentation on our mental health programs and services. As you know, we do have a mental health advisory council. This council does meet once a month to discuss the mental health needs of our students. It also guides our programs and services. And one of the two areas that we're really proud of is our mental health resource tab. So if the community hasn't had an opportunity to look on the district website, on the banner, it says mental health resources. Under that tab, you will find all of the resources for families related to mental health. So please, if you have an opportunity to take a look. Also, we have moved forward the prevention needs survey, and I will be talking about the prevention needs assessment survey in the subsequent slides. Also, I'd like to just share with you about our mental health education lessons, and this is our mental health education literacy framework for the district. We do provide cushion health lessons K through 5 at the elementary level. The topics that are covered are self-care, relationships, particularly bully prevention. Strategies are discussed at that lesson, resource management as well. And then at the middle school, the social workers push in and they teach lessons on self-care. They talk about the physical, emotional, and the social health triangle. And at the high school level, grades 9 through 12, the social workers again do push in. And this year in particular, they were focusing on the 9th grade students. They were sharing about the mental health services that are available at the high school. They have provided suicide prevention education lessons for all grades 9 through 12, and that was over a 2-year period. And also the 9th grade health classes, they do push in and speak to the mindfulness, and there is a mindfulness room at the high school for students for mental health support. Part of our mental health programs, we do focus, as I said, on bully prevention education. This is through our health lessons, our EASL curriculum, which is in development, and our balanced educational service trainings, which I'll talk about a little bit when we get to the bully prevention slides, and our new partnership with LICAP, which is the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying. So additional services for mental health are in the areas of drug prevention, education, awareness. We have a drug and alcohol awareness task force, and it meets monthly up at the high school. We do have students that do serve on that task force as well. And Joe Modica has created a really, truly an amazing resource for the school district. It's our drug and alcohol awareness website. So if you haven't had an opportunity, it's under our mental health resource tab. Please do that when you have time, please. And then we do have a new intervention, a targeted intervention for our students at the high school who have been suspended due to vaping, THC. We have contracted and worked with outreach services, and also we have included the ALC weekly counseling, which is provided by our district outreach counselor. So for our emotional awareness and social learning, that is our EASL. We are in the creation of making a customized ConnectWalk program. We will be moving forward with sharing that with the board shortly. I know Mrs. Hockey, we have shared it with you, so we're looking forward to sharing that with the board. And I think everyone here is aware we do have turnkey district-wide trainers for our emotional awareness and social learning program that we are creating for the district. In terms of counseling support, these are these tiered level of supports for students. We do have mental health support staff that provide interventions either through individual and group counseling. They provide parent meetings as well. They make referrals to outside supports, and they also provide transitional supports for our students that return from a 5 or more day suspension or hospitalization. So this is just a brief slide on the district mental health support staff that we have in the district. Our social workers, outreach counselors, psychologists, our DCBAs, and our school counselors. So this next slide talks about our bully prevention education services. As I shared, we have health lessons, which are provided by the school social workers. They do push into the classroom. They teach conflict resolution and emotional regulation. We have ongoing staff trainings and professional development through our balanced educational services. We partnered with LICAP, our Long Island Coalition Against Bullying. They provide DAC trainings, that stands for Dignity Act Coordinator, and they review investigations and procedures. We have assemblies K through 12 addressing bullying, physical, verbal, relational aggression, and cyberbullying. We have our Random Acts of Kindness Week, which is our annual week. It's during the week of Valentine's Day, typically, in the district, and it's district-wide, K through 12. We have our emotional awareness and social learning curriculum, creating a climate of respect and kindness. We have our anti-bullying committee, which will be a subcommittee of the Mental Health Advisory Council. That memo will be going out asking for stakeholders to join the committee, and we're going to ask for students to participate in this committee as well. We have anti-bullying posters in every classroom. That was an initiative that was brought forth probably about, I would say, decade ago. You may have seen them throughout the district. They're white and black, and it says Dignity Task Force on it. And then, of course, we have our Parent University Workshop, which we will be having one upcoming at Student Services that I'll speak to. So, growing healthy digital partnerships. We do partner with outside community agencies for support, and we do that with the Suffolk County Police Department. They provide assemblies and presentations on internet safety and cyberbullying. We also partner with Youth Enrichment Services, and they provide health lessons into the classrooms. This year we are working with the third grade students at the elementary level. We have been working with them for about 8 years now, and they pushed into the fifth grade classrooms in all the elementary schools. We also work with North Collins Children's Medical Center. They provide health lessons for our students as well, and they do target our fourth and fifth grade students at the elementary level. And Family Service League will be joining us again. Some of you on the board I know have had an opportunity to participate in our mental health summer workshops where Family Service League was presenting. And they are going to do a presentation for us on social media. And that Parent University Workshop is scheduled for the 28th of November from 6:30 to 7:30 at Student Services. We are offering food and childcare. So we have volunteers from the high school, students, Future Teachers of America Club. They're coming to work with our students while the parents participate in the workshop. So that's something we've never explored before. I know it was something that we brought up that we had wanted to do, so we're excited for this workshop. Our Long Island Coalition Against Bullying, our staff training is ongoing, and we have student assembly and parent workshops. And then our next piece that I think it's important that we talk about is the prevention needs assessment. That's the Bob Harrison norm assessment. Some of you may recall from back in 2018 when this was administered, but the survey assesses our substance abuse, antisocial behavior, risk factors, and protective factors. This assessment compares to the national norm. It's a longitudinal study titled Monitoring the Future. And again, this data that we had assessed back in 2018, the students were in grades 6, 8, 10, and 12. And as a result of that survey that went out in 2018, we moved our health education classes down to the lower grades. And that was as a direct result to the increase in substance abuse usage that was identified through the data in the survey. So for this year, we are going to target grades 6, 8, 10, 11, and 12. And the reason why we're going to target grade 11 was because they were assessed as a sixth grader back in 2018. So we're going to do a comparative analysis between the sixth grade data and the students that are in 11th grade. Without adding 11th grade, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do so with the data that we're assessing. So the survey takes approximately 40 minutes. There are 125 questions. The date that we're scheduled to administer is on December 1st through the English classes. It will be an online survey. There is a opt-out for parents, and that will go out on School Messenger. So we're asking all parents to complete whether or not they opt their kid in or out of the survey. The parents will have an opportunity to view the survey. There will be a link there to click on so you can actually see the survey that your child will be taking. So after the survey is complete, the data will be given to the district. It takes about 2 weeks, I was informed. We are going to put together a data assessment team, and with that, we're going to create an action plan and review current interventions and supports, and create a comprehensive prevention program addressing the students' needs that are identified. And the presentation, I will move forward with the board's permission probably around springtime, once we meet with the data team. So as you're aware, I wanted to just share with you, we are having great success with our school-based mental health partnerships, PM Pediatrics. This is a service that we put forth, Lori and I, last year. We did a presentation to the board in March. So thank you to the board for the approval. We move forward with this service again for students this year. It's been tremendously helpful for our students that are in crisis. So when our mental health staff or administration identifies a student that is in crisis, we make a referral to the crisis line. And students are serviced immediately with supports as opposed to us making the referral as a mental health staff. Often we find that there's a delay in services, so we're trying to connect students to care quicker, and we've been successful with our partnership with PM with making these referrals. They have a North Battle on site. They do make the appointments when the assessment is done for the intake. There's also a virtual-based option as well. And another important notation is our psychiatric evals. We have received a 2-week turnaround as opposed to a 3 to 6 month turnaround, which we were encountering before. So it's been very helpful for our students in crisis. They also provide parent coaching sessions, and we're looking to move forward with professional development for staff on youth mental health first aid. So my last slide, I just would like to give recognition to the community outreach support that we have done this year in Connecticut that I'm very proud of. This year, which we do every year, we have backpack donations, and we've helped over 100 families in need. These were provided by our Ronkonkoma Rotary Club. They are just amazing in the support that they have given to our community over the years, and they continue to do that for all the different events and holidays. We had our Community Wellness Day that we shared at the last board meeting. We had 383 participants click through. That wasn't including all the people that were already in the room, right? We had over 60 plus volunteers, 29 vendors, so it was a huge success. So thank you to all who helped with that huge planning, and it really was an absolute wonderful day.
Thank you for that. That was really a wonderful day. So thank you so much.
And thank
Everyone
you.
that contributed.
Thank you. Thank you for all your help. You were a huge part of that success, and the library as well.
Yes,
Without that-
beautiful space for it. It just really worked out. Definitely.
It was, thank you. We had Suffolk County Police Department, we had Narcan training, we had 42 community members and staff members participate. Last year we had about 50. We are looking to bring them back again to our community in the spring, so if you haven't had an opportunity to attend the Narcan training, there will be another opportunity for you. We have our Thanksgiving food drive coming up. It's actually happening right now. We have a cart outside Student Services. So we have items, if you can donate for families in need. School messengers they go out with the items that are needed for our families for the holidays. The collection will go into the 17th of this month. There's a Thanksgiving dinner provided by the Ronkonkoma Rotary Club at Flanagan's in Lake Ronkonkoma. That's on the 23rd. It's open to all who need. So if you know someone that does not have a family to go to, or they don't have an opportunity to provide food for their family, please let them know that we have that support there for them. That's from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on November 23rd. We also have Help for the Holidays. We do a gift collection provided by the John Beeson's Children's Foundation. So thank you to them for all the support they've given us over the years. And then we also do our annual coat drive, which is also provided by the Ronkonkoma Rotary Club. And I believe that was it. Thank you so much for allowing me to present tonight.
Thank you. And if I was to say that, I also share in the sentiments of and Jackie, and we've been useful and we do things that are really with our children. It does not go over smooth and it's much appreciated. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, I have questions on Narcan and bullying initiatives that I put on the discussion items, but I would like to move them right now so I can speak to you guys. And actually, I have special education. So, if you guys don't mind me doing it now so that we get that out of the way. Well, number one, thank you so much for Mrs. Pisani for doing the Narcan training again. As you know, 3 years ago, this was something I brought forward. I had requested us to get Suffolk Police more involved in our school district. About 3 years ago, they were not invited in like they are today, which I think is wonderful. There are so many free programs and things we can tap into through the police department and the fire department and many others that we pay taxes to. And why not bring them in as free services to help all students? I'm thankful that I got to come to Narcan training again. And I do think that it's something I wish we saw bigger numbers, but I am glad to see 42 people, 50 people. It was nice to see some staff came. I do think that it should become something that all families get involved in, for the simple fact that nowadays you could be anywhere at any time and someone could go down in front of you. It could be from fentanyl, it could just happen. There's so many invisible drugs that cause debilitation and just so many issues. And like I've seen at work and I've seen even out in the field, Narcan can save many lives. It's not a miracle, but it can save many lives. And it is good for everyone to have that in their home or on them. I actually have the one they gave me in my pocketbook today. Number two, I wanted to, so thank you for doing that and thank you for also following up to a second one. Number two, I wanted to also say about the bullying initiatives. Well, I appreciate everything you're doing, and I do appreciate you bringing in PM Pediatrics. I was 100% for that last year, as you know. These are things that mental health after COVID has been off the charts. The increase is just unbelievable, and seeing children who never had an issue now having issues, and anxiety, emotional stress, whatever the case may be. I wanted to find out though, what bullying initiatives, what else can we bring in to actually see substantial differences? Because I do feel like and trust me, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I just feel like it's like hitting a brick wall. You know, we can bring in everything under the sun, and it still doesn't mean that we can get buy-in from the parents. Because that's really, like, I love that you're doing the food, and I love that you're bringing the kids in and for the teaching. That's great to help with the child care, because we said that was one of the issues. But what else can we try to do? Because I've seen an increase in speaking to parents in that there is more bullying after COVID than before. So what can we do to really fight this in a way that we actually see a change? Because we're really not. We're seeing that the curve is staying the same. We're adding, the school board in the last few years has added mental health services, has added mental health staff, has added the PM Pediatrics medical component. Anytime I've ever been someone on the school board that came to us and said, this is what we need for the kids mentally, I've always said, that's where I have no issue. But, even being, financially responsible, we still need to make sure kids are okay. But at the same time, we also need to make sure families are okay. And in doing so, it does start at home. So what kind of partnership of a bullying initiative can we come up with, or maybe look into, where the parents are involved? Is there some way we can give community service to students or help them in a way that it makes it more, there's more buy-in? This is a bullying initiative. Say after school, help do this, this, and this, and we'll give you community service. There's a lot of students that I've seen on social media looking for community service. Is there something we can do to try to buy in more? Not just the videos, like, we can put a video on, and let's be honest here, I've seen kids, I've sat in the audience, you know, after a little while, they're done. I do love The Wonder, which was something that we had advocated for, and I was very much behind as well with her. I think that that's a wonderful program. Are you guys doing that?
I believe the middle schools are still showing that movie, but I'll follow up with it.
Because I did think that was, I saw students in classes.
I believe that's been going on for almost a decade now.
Yeah, she had a leap over that, and it's something that I 100% would support going forward, no matter what. It was something that I really did feel like it hit kids. Also, doing anything, any kind of other initiatives, like I said, to get some buy-in from home. Because, again, I know parents are busy and they can't always make these things. They can't always make these after school. You got kids who, especially in the middle school and high school, might be either working or doing a club or whatever. If there's something else, I'm not saying now, I'm saying is there things that we can look into. Because that's what I would like to see. We always talk about doing initiatives, but I don't always see at the end of the school year the amount of buy-in that we really need to try to push if we can.
And I think the first start is our anti-bullying committee that we had back, I would say it was 12 years ago. And then that committee, I use the word morphed into our mindfulness committee, and then moved into our emotional awareness committee. So I think we need to go back to having that and having all stakeholders involved in that discussion and talk about our current practices and programs. And then from there, build on the supports and what we need to revise and build that actionable plan to create a more comprehensive and systemic and supportive initiative that you're speaking of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. For special education, the questions that I had was, after COVID, there was, I know that there was significant money that was sent for specifically for special ed learning loss. And what I've seen in the last, I guess, year or two, and by the way, you guys are doing a fantastic job because I know you're understaffed with everything going on, and there's a lot more special needs and services that students need in special ed, especially with the uptick of 504s, uptick of IEPs, and so many other issues. But I have to say, I'm concerned, where are we when it comes to the learning loss? Where are we, like 2 years ago, and I know that this was when Mr. Middleton was here, he had done a lot of stuff online. It was the virtual, you were going to push for kids to help special ed students through some virtual platform, and I didn't think that that was a great idea myself. With students don't really get engagement, especially special education students who maybe it doesn't work for them. I know with virtual, it didn't really work for a lot of special education students, even more so than general ed, and they had issues with it. What are we doing now to help with that learning loss? Because it's compounded now, and you're seeing students who really are either falling behind or struggling with a lot more challenges than I've seen before educationally.
Yeah, so some of the things that we did with the money that you're speaking of, we opened up our ESY program to more students than we ever had before. When I first started, we opened it up to really any students that we were seeing that were struggling with reading or math at the elementary level up to 8th grade. I want to say that we opened and we continued for the last 3 years servicing those students in ESY. In addition, we've looked at a lot of the students in terms of where they are struggling with reading, in particular at the elementary level. We brought in a couple of new programs that we're using. Wilson is one program that we have used over the years. In order for a teacher to be Wilson certified, it takes them up to a year for them to be certified. So we're looking at alternatives to reading programs that do similar things that Wilson does, but we don't need that year-long training before somebody can actually do it. So one of the great things that we've been doing at Sycamore is we have teachers that are trained in many different reading programs. So looking at the kids, especially in special education and self-contained classes, together, that group of teachers is looking at them together to say, this student would do great with this Sunday program, this student would do great with LLI. I'm trained in this, I'm trained in this. So now we're looking at students as where they're struggling, and we're having those teachers that can do those specific programs servicing those students during a specific reading block.
Perfect, because that was one of the biggest issues. I heard that reading, the students are falling behind in reading, and really, if you fall behind in reading, you kind of fall behind in everything. Because as you go forward into middle school and high school, reading is really the core of math problems, of all subjects. So if they have any issues with reading or reading comprehension, or just struggling with any kind of critical thinking, that's going to be something that is going to help them going forward. So if we could see more of those kind of programs come out to the students, that would be excellent.
I would say that I just had a meeting with the Sycamore teachers just recently, where we went over all the reading programs that everyone has experience with and knows how to implement, and there must have been about 7 to 8 different types of programs. They went over what each one covers. Is it a phonics space? Is it reading comprehension? We know who does what. We are trying to, with Mr. Sheehan's help, trying to keep that reading block for those teachers the same, so that they can mix kids in and out to have groups that have similar disabilities in reading.
No, we see success, you're being successful with that, how can we duplicate that for charity?
We are going to. We are going to try to see if we were able to do it in Sycamore first. The teachers there were very proactive in asking for this type of assistance and working together. So I wanted to see how it would work and if it was something that we could do, and then we will duplicate it in Cherokee.
Thank you. The last thing I really have is actually about the nurses. I know that he already gave me the information, but I wanted to get it out there because I was in a state of shock that kids are not able to get Vaseline from a nurse. Kids are not able to get anything pretty much outside of EpiPens at their for them for them. So I was in a state of shock that all they can use is soap and water. So I'm looking over these paperwork that was sent, which I appreciate, in regards to the doctor's standing orders of first case. Are these from the doctor, or are these from New York State mandate? I looked up the New York State, and I'm in a state of shock, because most, like, high school students who carry a chapstick, it has Vaseline in it. Like, so if you read the mandate, it actually says that they shouldn't be carrying that, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Wait, you can't carry it, or you can't get it from the nurse?
You can't carry it in your bag unless you have a self-medicated form filled out from your doctor, and you have it, the nurse has, or if you're in high school, if you're in like elementary school, you would bring it down to the nurse, and they would have to keep it there for chapstick. For Vaseline or like for your lips or something. So I'm just saying, as a parent, because I've had to deal with this myself, I actually thought this was crazy. So I wanted to know, is there something we as a board can do? We advocated for a ton of other things when it comes to the state of New York. Is this a state mandate where we can put a letter out and start advocating? Because I feel bad for nurses. You know, when it came to security guards, I was the one that came out and said, I want to give these guys tools, these guys and girls tools, to make sure that they can protect our kids, right? Because without giving people tools, we're asking them to do the impossible at times. Now we have nurses that we aren't giving them the tools to work with. These are registered nurses. These are not nurses' aides. We're saying that they can only use soap and water. Like, I really thought it was insanity when I was reading it, because as a paramedic in Nassau County, I can administer more stuff to somebody if I'm on the scene than they can to students in a school building. It's incredible. So I just want to know, is there something we can do? Is there an avenue we can take? Is it something you do? Is it something we do? That we can advocate If it's a mandate through the state, or is it, well, do we need to advocate with the doctor to change his standing orders?
Right, so the guidelines are from the New York State Education Department. I don't know if this was provided to you. These are guidelines for medication management in schools, and Vaseline is an emollient, so it is a topical medication. In terms of the nurses being able to put that on children's lips, you are correct, they do need a doctor's note, and they have to provide Vaseline to the school nurse in order to put that on a child's lips at school. So the information is in here, so in terms of where can we go to change that, I would say we start here with the New York State Education Department, the guidelines for medication management in schools. And in terms of the standing orders, they are guided by the New York State guidelines for medication management in schools. And Dr. Gill does sign off on these every school year.
Because I'm letting you know, I actually spoke to 2 doctors at ProHealth, at pediatricians, and then I spoke to a pediatrician at Optum that used to be Suffolk Pediatrics, and all of them were, they all said to me, they were in a state of shock. They said, they ones that actually told me, you know, that Vaseline, if you can't give a kid Vaseline around their lips or chapped hands or whatever, they said, what are these kids doing when they're carrying it in their bags? I said, well, obviously, I wouldn't want the kids to be bothered over this. I'm actually thinking it's crazy that this is what kids can't even have. It sounds nuts. Like, what is the point then to have a registered nurse in an office, or 2 or 3 of them, if we can't have them administer aid to students, and like I was looking over what they can do.
Yes.
It's like we put soap and water on a Band-Aid, and then you gotta call 911. So I'm just saying to you, again, I want to advocate for the nurses to get the tools for them to be able to do the job that they were trained to do.
I mean, isn't there a concern that, elementary kids they scrape their knees all the time. First thing you want to do is put something on to stop infection. Well, of course you clean it, but, doesn't it become a concern that at some point that we're actually just letting the kid, God knows what germs are getting into that wound, that the soap and water doesn't heal, and now the kid goes home, that this, needs to take care of these kids. So that's really concerning that they really can't do anything.
It's definitely a valid concern. It's a discussion at the nurses' monthly department meetings. And again, these are the standing orders from Dr. Gill. I will share, your thoughts with him. And then in terms of what we can do as a school district moving forward, I do believe that a step would be with the New York State Education Department talking about our concerns that we bring up, which are valid.
I would love for this board to have a letter drawn up, a strong letter, letting them know that we want to support our nurses and we want to give them the tools to do the job that they have been trained to do.
Yes.
If they were in a hospital, they know what to do. They're in a school, they know what to do. But when you give them soap and water and a Band-Aid, you're telling them that they can't do their job to the best of their ability because you're not giving them the tools. It's unfair because then you got to also deal with the upsetting of kids getting sent home then from school over these minor issues that could be handled at school. So again, I just would like to advocate for us to try to help the nurses. I didn't know this. I heard about it last year, like in passing. I was like, yeah, but it wasn't something that I had thought was 100% in place. But now that I see it, it's something that we really do need to advocate to give them some sort of tools to help our kids.
Yeah, I was just going to say about writing a letter, I'm 100% behind that. Like, to not even have Vaseline, basic Neosporin, like, that to me is crazy. Most first aid kits that you have in your glove compartment have more stuff than they're allowed to use.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. I would do whatever we have to do to advocate for this, help our nurses and our students.
Can we put a letter on for the next board meeting and vote on it and get it out to New York State Education Department? I would all worded, let them know where we stand. We support our nurses, we support our students and our staff. We want to make sure that medical aid can be given in the school Unless it's something that's elevated and you need to call 911, you need to get an ambulance. But when I read this and it says you need to call an ambulance, call 911, like for some of these things, it's insanity. It makes no sense. The nurses are capable and able to do their job. You just need to help them advocate for their tools.
So I will work on that draft, and Mr. Sami, maybe you and Dr. Gill can give me some key verbiage so that we can capture the essence of what the board, on behalf of the district, on behalf of our nurses, are looking to do with regard to advocacy with the state, but that we touch upon some of that key verbiage that yourself with your background, and certainly Dr. Gill with his. So we'll huddle together on that.
I just wanted to mention one program that we just started this year in the high school. This year we have a peer mentoring program in the high school, and our life skills students are along with gen ed students, and they are participating in art and a music elective class together, where the gen ed students are peer mentoring the life skills students. Right now, this half they're doing art, and I just met with the life skills teachers today, and they said they went in, it's absolutely unbelievable what's happening in those classes. Next semester, they're doing music together, and we're hoping that the following year, next year, that we're going to do a theater class together where they'll put on a performance together.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
That's great, thank you. And 100% the letter for the next board meeting, please, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do actually have some questions, and I've had questions about the prevention needs assessment survey. And I just wanted to, how often are we doing this, every 2 years?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years, okay, yeah, just as, I know, part of giving this survey is also to determine the need to help children, which is, of course, we need to do. But, it's kind of, now we're giving it every 2 years, we're skipping whole grades all the time. I looked at, the children in my own family. Right now, between my children, my sister's children, we have 5 children in the schools. And, one's taking it once, one would be taking it 3 times, another 4, and 2 of the children not at all. So that's where we get into, equity across the district and across the grades, skipping entire grades, to do this. So I just, while I have my questions about the length of the survey and the questions that are involved in it, that is another concern to me, that whatever we are doing, whether it would be this or something else, we're skipping whole grades. And just the other thing too about that, which I am glad to see that notifications are going out and the survey itself will be included, because I do believe that it is important for parents to see, the scope of some of these questions, very sensitive questions, some of them very serious, asking about a child contemplating suicide. And I think that's something that a parent should be, they should know. If they are okay with their child answering those questions, absolutely. So I am happy to see that the survey will be included. And I do urge all parents to look at that, to make sure that it is suitable for your child. And but yet, as far as the, giving it every 2 years, what happens in those situations where whole grades are missed every 2 years? We completely lose those children.
So the decision to target the 6, 8, 10, and 12, that is the comparative to the national norm. That's why those grades are targeted. We as a district can decide to assess grades 6 through 12. That would be a discussion that if the board is in agreement, we could add the other grades, but we wouldn't have a comparative to national norms in the grades in between. That's the decision.
So that's the rationale behind it.
Yes, correct. Correct.
If somebody opts out, do they have to opt out every other year?
Yes, every year.
So every year we have to close? Okay. I have a question. You said everybody has to opt either in or out.
Yes.
What about if the child wasn't responsible?
Well, we had a discussion about perhaps that could happen, so my office will be monitoring the numbers that are coming in. We're looking for 60% of opt-in order to have that analysis to provide the assessment that we needed, the national norm. So we are going to work actively on helping parents to be notified of what the assessment is. And maybe perhaps they missed it, we're going to send out multiple notifications to parents.
In essence, no response to being knocked out, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Thank you.
And I have one more question, and I don't know if I should, I mean, it's on the consent agenda, I don't know if I should wait till then about the cost of the survey. Should I ask that now, I guess? Okay, I know it says that the cost of the survey is $2.50 each survey. Estimated number of surveys, over 2,000, the estimated total cost, $5,440. Children that opt out, do we pay for that? I know it's only $250
No, we were paying, right, that would be based on the numbers if all students in the grades that we're assessing. So if the number is lower, that number will go down.
Okay, this is not, written
Correct,
like
it's not
this
written.
is paying no matter
Correct.
what.
It's based on the
opt out,
number. Correct,
we don't pay for them.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No, I was only going to echo the thank you earlier, and I want to tell you that high school wellness group, the high group that are amazing. I can't say enough about them. Unbelievable, and I love that every kid has the ability to go down there whenever they want, if you have a bad day, anything. And I think it's just amazing, and a great program, mental health wise, for all the kids in high school. So thank you.
Thank you, I will let them know. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Do we have student government?
Yes, you did.
Hello again. So as stated before, the Connecticut Food Drive and this Friday, and Friday, November 17th. So if any of you guys, even from the community, wants to donate, please bring it up to the high school. It is needed around Thanksgiving. Student Gov is preparing for the Winter Spectacular December 8th, which welcomes Dr. Shi to join for the first time. The theme for the classes this year is holiday music genres, so it's definitely going to be a new one. Freshman Awareness is this Friday and Saturday. Everyone's very excited. The first quarter just ended and winter sports have begun, so more athletes are roaming the halls and enjoying class this time of year. Thank you. Any questions? Concerns? Comments?
Thank you so much. Superintendent's update, Dr. Senmore.
Thank you. So I want to start with thanking our schools, our students, our staff for the Veterans Day recognitions and the charitable events that were connected to it. I was very, very proud of our kids, our staff, and I could tell going from school to school that the veterans in attendance were very appreciative. I was told coming in that this district always goes big with, key patriotic events, but especially with our veterans, and I was really blown away with what we do in Connecticut to honor our brave men and women who have served our country. So kudos to all involved across the board. Prior to Veterans Day, we had a lot of great Halloween celebrations around the district, elementary parades and middle school dances, a safe Halloween at the high school. It was good fun and with a lot of good taste. A class act, Connecticut. Thank you. Mr. Hauser has been communicating to the community the changes to the second grade drop-off that were enacted by our transportation committee. This will take effect Monday, December 4th. We're essentially expanding the K-1 practice, not dropping off a student who did not have a designee in the bus stop, to now expand to grade 2, unless of course those parents have opted to drop their child off. So thank you to Mr. Hauser on those efforts. We recently had a question at a board meeting or two with regards to field trips and coach buses. So in terms of the coach buses the district utilizes for field trips, they do have seatbelts. In terms of the utilization of those seatbelts, that aforementioned transportation committee will be looking at that and will update the board and the community after that committee's had that opportunity. There have been a plethora of middle school and high school honor society inductions to celebrate our students' academic achievement. This week is jam-packed with more of them. Just great job winning tonight. And we're going to work on some of the calendar conflicts for next year. But tonight, the business on the side, you have 40 inductees. Just really, really great. Again, both middle schools and the high schools. Great to see. I am looking forward to my first freshman awareness experience that's coming up this weekend. I want to thank our advisors. I want to thank the chaperones. Let me thank the chaperones again because for availing themselves, there's quite a commitment to this, and I really, the superintendent of schools, appreciate our advisors and all the staff who have stepped up to chaperone these events. I know we'll have some parent volunteers as well, and thank you to them. So I'm looking forward to my first experience, and I'll be staying the night. I'll be bringing my Squishmallow with me, and I'm just hopeful that that image doesn't end up on social media. So I'm counting on our students for that. But again, I know yeoman's work goes into this preparation. I know it's a hallmark event for our high school and our community. One of the events I was told, wait till you experience it for the first time. Can't wait. Just like the Winter Wonderland, can't wait to experience that for the first time as well. I want to thank Ms. O'Hara and Ms. Pisani for their very informative presentation. I know they put a lot of work into this, and you could also see a lot of passion and heart for our kids and our community. Thank you, and of course all the unsung heroes behind the scene, in both of your departments. And it was nice to see one of our parent organizations, SEPTA, have a key role in that presentation. And like I try to do at every meeting, even on some of my videos, is to thank all of our parent organizations for all that they do, SEPTA, PTA, PTSA, all of our athletic boosters. Thank you. As our schools prepare for Thanksgiving with warm events and wonderful food drives, it is also time to celebrate America's Native American heritage and culture, as well as contributions. Obviously, it's a major part of our Connecticut history. In addition to being a core unit of study, of course, in the curriculum, we're building a build on November 20th. Sycamore is holding a Native American celebration throughout the day. So I just want to thank them for their efforts. And I know there's a lot of great stuff happening across the district. And obviously, with next week being Thanksgiving, really a special holiday, a time for friends and family to come together, time for community to come together, as was mentioned before, for those less fortunate, and just wishing everyone an enjoyable and thankful Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Board of Ed topics. Mascot lawsuit, Jackie Napolitano Furno.
I'm not sure what I was going to bring up with that. I thought that you guys
I think I know. I think he was just explaining why you're being called.
Oh, that a board member had to be named. One of the things that had come up was that someone from the community, it will strengthen the lawsuit. And in order to strengthen the lawsuit, it would be somebody. So at the time, I volunteered to be the person who would step up as an alumni, as a person who's been on the board a long time, and as somebody who doesn't mind having my name in legal paperwork. It doesn't bother me at all. That is really why I won the lawsuit. I 100% support the lawsuit. I 100% believe that we should be able to keep our mascot. I believe it's an honoring, and because of that, I think that there is a school upstate that fought and won, so I do think that we should follow suit like many other districts are doing as well, especially for our heritage, and especially for being a T-Bird. We're T-Birds for life when we graduated, or we so say, and I don't really feel like at this point we should just say, let it go, let's try something new. We should take it and see what we could do, because it's really an unfair, and I feel it's an unfair, and that's why I have no issue being on a lawsuit. The board supported me, and like I said, unfortunately, rumors run rampant in this district at times. This is all factual and can easily be proven in FOIAs.
Just to add to to you. When we were discussing the lawsuit with the law firm, they did recommend that we have a community member, parent, board member represented in the lawsuit. At the time, 4 of us here are Connecticut alum, so the 4 of them did volunteer. I was the only one that stood back as a Brownwood alum. But we all agreed to allow Jackie to be the one to be named, so.
So when did 4 people volunteer?
It was only me and Jackie that volunteered.
I have the email.
Right in April.
Clarified.
Well, it was,
That they may have told you privately.
no, it was
That
with,
nobody was stepping up.
with the lawyer in the room, the 4 of you did say you would be willing to do it.
Okay, I didn't hear anybody say anything, that's why I sent the email.
No,
I don't really care, but let's all at least be honest here.
No, I'm being one.
I would not mind anyone else's name being on the federal lawsuit. At the time, no one seemed to want to step up, and that's why I put my name down, because I didn't care.
No, you followed up with an email the next day that you would like to be the one on it, and no one had an objection to it, but all 4 of you did volunteer.
I would have liked, I know that a lot of times you go on social media and you write things, you should have really maybe wrote that, because many people were saying things that were not factual. And I know that you scroll by a lot of things that are not factual, and you let them go, and you pick and choose what you want to tell people what the truth is.
Correct. I will always scroll by on Facebook, and I will.
Well, you don't scroll
I will
by
say it-
everything.
I will say it here.
You don't
why I
scroll by
was-
everything.
Which is why I scroll by Jackie, which is why I was adding and telling the public why you were on there, and that also she is on there as
Well, it
well.
seems like what you're trying to do is give false information. At no point in time did anyone else say to me, other than Jackie, after I said, she said, I would have done it if you didn't want to do it. You definitely didn't want to do it. You didn't say you definitely didn't step
No,
up.
I definitely did not.
It's okay.
Well, but actually,
we're happy about.
April, you were not 100% for the lawsuit.
Correct, I was happy.
So I mean, at least let's all be transparent and
I
honest.
had no problem.
Let's be transparent and honest. You were not 100% for the lawsuit, or going into it for a certain amount, which is fine. I'm not saying Brian would have done it, but I don't recall him saying anything. And you definitely didn't want to do it, Marisol. Jackie came afterwards and said she would do it, and I said, I spoke to my boss and nobody cared if my name was on a federal lawsuit.
And I do want to thank you, Jackie, for taking that on, because I believe the other districts, it was, I don't know if it was an automatic thing, but I think the board president at the time, on all the other students, other than the one named. So I do want to thank you for doing that, and I did, from what I remember, I don't remember anybody else volunteering, I did, and I, just because you talk about faster than me, so but I appreciate that you took that on, and absolutely, if you want to, if you want to do it, that's.
I think it really doesn't matter, we're in the lawsuit, and yeah, I would have had no problem doing it, and maybe I wasn't as vocal as other people, but I did, and let's move on. Jackie is named in the lawsuit, and let's see what happens. Next.
Freshman awareness and chaperones, Jackie Napolitano, Furno.
I'm happy to hear that people are volunteering at this point. I did want to know if it was after I had brought to the superintendent the idea to change the pay scale, and because it's a curriculum-based night.
Whereas we got a few extra, Mr. Colivo, we got a few additional people that stepped up, show up in their area, correct?
We did. Ms. Goodwin met with some of the substitutes that we had a presentation for and was able to convince them to show up. So we actually want to thank the subs too, who stepped up and did some work there.
100% want to thank everybody who stepped up. Want to thank Mrs. Goodwin and Mrs. Semp for doing all the work they do for this enormous undertaking. Like I said, again, thank you to all the subs, and I'm glad that we were able to find a creative way to make it work for everyone, especially for the kids, because it really is an amazing night for them, and that's really what it's all about.
Yes, thank you to everybody that volunteered. I'm looking forward to a great night. Sports fields lighting, Jackie Napolitano.
That's definitely not me. I don't even know what that is.
I think Dr. Senamo was going to give an update.
Yes, so I know that the month of October, with some of our, especially JV teams, such as girls field hockey,
you know, and there's a couple things that come into play. Other schools that come to Connect What, their buses, run late, Section 11, sometimes not having enough officials, it impacts the time of games. So we had some,
This is about the walking through the school to the different locations.
no, this is about, you're right, the upper turf field at the high school, that's what this was about.
Yeah, I don't, no. Jesse, who put this on? It's definitely me,
You did, the board received an email from the residents about it, and I shared that email with the board, and I literally just checked my emails.
Can you resend it to me, because I'm serious, I'm having a lot.
So we had a community member that she requested, or he requested lighting at the upper JV fields. You know, the games have to be cut short because at times with the day being shorter in the winter.
I remember the one about the bus. I advocated for the bus for the JV and varsity teams, that the buses were in the back, and we were having the buses possibly pick them up. This is the one that they were supposed to walk through the school.
Yeah, Mr. Flynn, addressed that with
So would
the
you
parent.
just resend this to me, because like I said, I normally know exactly what's on here, and that I have no recollection.
So in terms of lighting the upper field, obviously permanent lighting could be cost prohibitive, and that's something we can certainly discuss during the budget development process. But for the month of October, there might be a more fiscally responsive solution that Mr. Allen, Mr. Mallory are looking at in terms of not having games, especially JV contests, especially field hockey, having not getting that full playing time, particularly in that one.
Okay, here it is. Yeah, it was from a parent, and I wrote on October 29th, I would like to know why we do not have the lighting for all of the varsity JV to play. In all fairness, all sports fields should equally have lighting to help each practice and games. No one sport should be treated better than another. It would be nice, and I have to say that this is one of the problems that I have with the board right now, and even the superintendent, with this is one of my issues, is the fact that this shouldn't need to wait till a board meeting 2 weeks later, more than 2 weeks later, to give me some sort of answer. This is something that we should have gotten an answer before this. Jackie, you actually answered up to. Like, I'm just saying it's from October 29th, and there's no answer. In past years that I've on the board, if I send an email on October 29th, 3-4 days later max, I have an answer, especially to something like this, or we're looking into it, or the lighting is there, or because this is the whole thing. I feel like we ask questions at board meetings or by email, and then it's like, oh, it's all gone, forget about it, and there's no follow-up. I feel that way since September. I've asked a dozen questions that I still not got an answer to at board meetings or on email.
Niche scores, April Arnatelli. Many of you might know that the scores came out and we were low in math and reading. So after last board meeting, I actually spoke with Ms. Christina Poppy to ask her about the scores. And I wanted to give her an opportunity to explain, as she did to me, how these scores aren't always 100% correct. I also would like her to explain some initiatives that our district is trying to put forth to improve our scores. She actually just explained the interventionalist program, which I think was actually a great program. Maybe you could explain that. I know I just gave you several questions. So if you could explain the scores first, I think that would be best for everybody to understand.
Sure, thank you very much. I had to do some research in terms of how this niche organization establishes their rankings and what type of a rating system they use. And so I was able to contact them. They were very responsive. And it appears that they consider a number of different factors in terms of establishing schools' rankings and then rating them comparatively.
So for instance, a school or a district's overall niche grade is developed based upon 7 different factors. The one difficult part of this is that within every factor weighting, and every factor carries a different level of weight, is a component that is identified as survey responses from the public, from students, from parents, in relative to all of these different areas. So academics, teachers, culture and diversity, parent-student surveys on overall experience, resources and facilities, clubs and activities, and sports. And so when you look at the website, what's interesting is that there is a public sort of announcement of our ratings as a district, and our individual schools carry ratings as well. And those ratings are based on 69 responses from the public. I asked Niche if those 69 responses form that public review aspect of every ranking category, and they answered affirmatively. So we're dealing with a number, data that isn't representative of the size of our district and isn't representative of the size of any of our schools. I hope that I contributed positively to our next set of rankings, because I 5-starred every component of our district after learning that. And in addition, in particular, relative to the academic ranking, that carries its own set of factors as well. And those include state assessment proficiency, top colleges score, graduation rate, a parent and student survey on academics, the student-to-teacher ratio, AP enrollment, and AP test pass rate. So those are a little more concrete. But what I've found is that Niche uses the most recent publicly available data to factor in on that academics component. And the most recent publicly available data from the National Education Clearinghouse is our 2021 scores for proficiency on our 3 through 8 assessments and our Regents exams. Right? So if you recall back in 2021, that was the first year that we offered Regents exams that were optional because we were coming off of the pandemic. That year we offered 4 Regents exams. They only used this niche rating system, ELA and mathematics, which were offered, but our student populations that opted to test that year were relatively small. For instance, our ELA population was only about 50-something, whereas typically we see almost 500 students testing during our largest testing period. And the same is true for mathematics. Our 3 through 8 assessments that year were also more poorly participated in than usual. So for obvious reasons, that was our first dip back into state assessments following the closures for COVID. So we were around 73 to 75% refusal rates for ELA and mathematics overall. So my point in sharing this is that, statistically speaking, the data pool is relatively small for that specific year. It could contribute to an overall decline in a ranking in the academics category and in those overall categories. But in addition, Niche changed some of their ranking concepts as well this year.
Can I ask you, what was our ranking for the last, I know that when after April sent the email, I joined on that email and asked you if you could bring a copy of the enrollment decrease over the last 10 years, and where has Connecticut fallen in the last 10 years of the niche report versus being 173 now. I would like to see a side-by-side comparison since enrollment continues to decline, and yet Connecticut falls below some districts that completely shocked me, especially since we have been compared to Comac for many years in relative size, in a lot of different side-by-sides, and they rank so much higher than us. So if we took from the 2021, did all the school districts?
Yes, so
Those were they also going to have the same data issues that we have.
Potentially speaking, and, you know, that also factors into the idea of, you know, relatively speaking, we do have a higher refusal rate in this district than other districts typically experience. In addition, that weighting factor is an unknown quantity, that survey factor, right? That identified as our 69 respondents influenced every single category of our rating. So if we had a few poor responses, my point here is that they likely factored in more heavily. Side by side for those competing districts, I can produce a report for you to see, so that you can see how many respondents they had in all of those areas as well, and perhaps it would make that relative comparison a little more clear. I will say that from year to year, NICE itself has stated that they changed some of their weighting factors.
Right, and that's why I'm saying I didn't want to ask for the last 3 years. That's why I said if we could just, like I said, I didn't know if that was, I figured that might be something easier to report on, because I would think that it is easy to pull up and say, these are the last 10 years, here is what we ranked it. I didn't want to give you guys busy work or something extra. I think that this might be the best way to just see, has there been a decline? And even if things are changing, I want to just see the numbers, like, and because 173 is very disappointing. I mean, regardless, because like we say, everybody is, these numbers may not be perfect,
No.
but what I'm saying to you is, if everyone's running off of 2021, they probably have some issues because of COVID as well, especially schools our size like Comac, and William Floyd came in above us too, which again, some of these I was really surprised. So I would love to see the data that shows that this is what it is. You understand my side? Because again, are we going down? If we're going down, why? Are we going up?
Like I said in my question, can you talk about the initiatives that we have or that you've taken place that you together? Sure. So Jackie, I will get that 10-year view of where we were, but realizing that the data may not be comparable from year to year, because the mechanism for collecting the data is acknowledging that they're changing their methods as well.
What was the other, last year there was another, or in previous years, there was another, wasn't Mitch, there was another report that told us where we were.
I'm not sure that I'm not sure.
I mean, here's the thing, do we rank, I would like to know on like real paper, where do we rank? Where do we rank on Long Island? I mean, I don't need to see where we rank, I understand, against upstate and everywhere else, but where do we rank on Long Island? Because I think that's something that we should know. And I mean, like, what are the valid numbers? Is there a way to find this out? And if so, look, I'm not trying to make us look bad per se, but we should have some expectations. And I feel like that's the problem in our district for many years. There hasn't really been a driving force or expectations on what exactly we should be doing to make sure that we have more. Listen, I'm all for the opt-out. So you're never going to have someone like me saying, I'm all for opting out. I'm not saying that that's just my own opinion. I believe in opt-out. I advocate for it. There are certain tests that I do not feel we should be testing our teachers and students on. But again, I used to argue with other board members about this, who feel we have to go opposite way, and I took respect that. But I'm saying to you, where are the real numbers? The real numbers, where do we rank? And I mean, look, it's not to make us feel bad or feel good, that's just to see where we rank. I know that when my mom was on the board, she used to say to us, and I used to respect this, she used to say, Jackie, I have expectations for education like we're Jericho. We may not be Jericho, but that doesn't mean that we can't be like Jericho. Do you understand? Like, their educational program, they must be doing something if they're one of the top schools. What are we doing that's different?
So I echo the sentence about looking at real data in terms of things like the New York State report one. where you're not tying in survey results and whatever those metrics are, and if they get adjusted from year to year. Nisha's great in terms of, public relations and you can certainly, look to compare district to district, but I think your point about looking at the real data and seeing, where ConnectQuad is, where we've been, and having that continue to inform our planning moving forward. So, I think looking at New York State report card data, and yes, in terms of grades 3 through 8, you're going to have an impact, especially in the elementary level, with the opt-out. That's why districts, go towards other, measurements, diagnostics, for us, we, at ConnectQuad, we use iReady, MSDA, and, and those are newer initiatives, so the newer metrics that are being implemented across the district. But in terms of your question, New York State report card data, and so Ms. Poppy and I will work on that.
Does iReady show us a comparison from other districts? I know that they all use it, but does that help to compare us to where we stand against other districts?
It gives us some sense of a projection in terms of student performance. In terms of relative performance, it's normed nationally, and so we would be able to look at figures like that. I think that's really the response here. So, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno, to your point, I think we have done a great deal in the last couple of years of looking internally, right? Because we don't necessarily have the reliable external metrics that we can consider aside from graduation rates, aside from Regents exam performance, aside from AP data that we receive from the College Board. And we do consider all of those annually, right? We place ourselves amongst our colleagues in other school districts. How did your students perform? How did our students perform? What was the mean score? What was the potential for them to receive mastery? And did our students achieve that level of performance? So we are doing that internally, constantly, because the external look has become a little challenging for us, right? We do use those diagnostics. I know that you know that Dr. Sutherland mentioned in terms of our universal screeners to look at our students' learning potential in grades K all the way up through 8. And that provides us another measure internally whereby we're able to see how our students are performing. Most recently, and now doubling back to Ms. Iantelli's question, we've used those internal measures to really take a hard look at what our students are challenged by in terms of their reading and mathematical skill sets. And we've taken measures using federal grant money through CRISA and through ARC to provide methods by which we can fill those instructional gaps, right? So we've really drilled down using data. To Mrs. O'Hara's point earlier, looking at different programmatic approaches to addressing students' learning gaps that we hadn't had an opportunity to experience in the past. So those grants have given us a lot of flexibility in terms of considering different approaches to meet the needs of different students. And our success in the implementation of, for example, those instructional interventionists in our elementary buildings is to provide those tier 1 supports, that hands-on work in the classroom, which is really the first step in identifying and attempting to correct those, provide a course correction for those students in terms of those skill sets. If the student isn't responsive after a cycle, we reapproach, we reevaluate, and we make some different decisions based upon their needs. And eventually that may lead to a special education referral, but again, reflecting on that presentation that was provided earlier, there's a process that takes place before that occurs. I'm so proud of the work that we have done, especially at the elementary level, in terms of identification. That's part of the major reason why we selected Envision, right? So this is going back, bringing you full circle through this year so far, this academic school year. We recognized the learning gaps that our students were experiencing in mathematics, and we were looking for a holistic programmatic approach in order to address them. And an approach that provided different opportunities to differentiate according to student need. And we felt that that program provided those types of opportunities for not only our children, but for our teachers to have a place from which they could select reliable resources for our kids to satisfy their needs. In reading, we've kind of taken a different approach. Right, we've looked more closely at developing students' phonemic awareness, developing their skill sets with phonics. We've identified the need for additional word work in grades 3, 4, and 5, and we're taking steps to implement that through a number of different programs. We're extending our foundations instruction into grade 3 in order to shore up students' their dexterity in terms of their decoding skill. And we're starting to have some more conversations about students' comprehension and how to shore that up as well. So it is a systemic conversation, and in a sense, we have this very outward view of performance and our numerical placement, which I don't want to diminish the importance, right? Because that's what people see, right? And that's what people respond to. But please know, I think publicly it's important to know that we are doing this tremendous work internally to really have a strong sense of where we are, where we need to go, and what our students are demonstrating to us in terms of their needs.
So we'll look to get that information to the board as quick as possible, but we have targeted the 2 board meetings in January to provide academic presentations to elementary and secondary.
Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that. And something else I'd like to, just add to that as far as the secondary level. Students will take their course and they'll do well in the course, but then do terrible on the test. So what is the discrepancy there? Why is it that they're learning the material all year long? What?
There's no retention. They're not retaining it. That's really what the issue is. They're being taught it and that they know it at the moment.
Right.
But then by the end of the school year, if an AP, that's what someone has said to me, if an AP test score isn't coming out up high enough, it's because the kids weren't retained. And that would be an issue for retention, or if we're doing enough to actually doing enough to supply these students with these extra helps or extra times to do studies before these tests. Maybe we need to do more to help improve the grades.
And I think you've absolutely brought that up before, Ms. Napolitano-Inferno, right? So we as a group have had some really healthy conversations about what our students need, especially in preparation for Regents exams. Back to those federal grants, they've really enabled us to provide supports for students, especially in mathematics. We had a number of conversations about algebra prep over the last 2 years and filling in those gaps because of that identification, right? And with the directors, I've been working very closely in identifying why that happens for particular students. Sometimes it's the sequencing of the course that happens, especially in mathematics, right? We skip a year between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. We insert geometry in the middle, and it's almost like losing traction for students. And that's a real challenge. When we're talking about English language arts, it's more of a spiral type of curriculum wherein students' skills build over time, but that's balanced against courses that are discrete one-year experiences for kids, right? So their retention is really happening across the school year. I think our teachers are experts in terms of preparing students, knowing the stakes of our different Regents exams and preparing students toward them to be successful on them. And look, I also don't think there's a perfect system per se, but that goes back to some of the review of the data that we're doing internally. How are kids performing currently? How have they performed in years past? Where are the challenges, the deficits that we're able to identify? And now we can look down to the question in terms of what challenged a student, and we can have those types of reflective conversations departmentally. and individually in order to kind of develop different strategies to addressing them instructionally.
I think something that I found kids struggle with is just knowing how to study. And not everybody studies the same, and not everybody learns the same, but knowing how to study is also a big deficit, I think, for some of our students.
I agree, and I think that that's a real challenge. You know, we've done some summer programming in terms of offering like a study skills and approach to management, and there are so many resources in our schools that, you know, who can provide that type of guidance, whether it is a counselor, whether it is a teacher who has a particular group of students that they're working with on those types of organizational skills and skill sets. But I agree with you, it's a challenge to teach that because everybody approaches subject matter differently, and I think as kids grow up, we sort of expect them to know what their process is, right? And that may not be clear for every kid. And so, yes, I absolutely recognize that that's a challenge, and we'll continue to try different ways to meet that need as well.
Thank you. Halloween, Jackie DiLorenzo.
Halloween, happy times. Yeah. I just wanted to give a shout out to the high school for the students that did St. Halloween. That was incredible. They did a great job, and just personal thank you. My kids loved it, and everything that was done, the PTAs with the trunk or treats, really, really fantastic. I love that my kids get to wear their Halloween costumes more than once. So I just a general thank you. I think we do a great job here celebrating. The parade at Sycamore was absolutely adorable. It really, really was great. Yeah, it was very cute, and you know, so thank you to the principal for doing that. Sycamore went many years where it was just a kindergartner, so I was really so happy to see that all of the students dressed up, the entire staff dressed up in Survivor t-shirts, and it was absolutely amazing. They did a great job, really, so just a shout out to everyone who made Halloween really extra special this year for kids.
I'm going to piggyback her because we had a fun time. Jackie was dressed as Mario, I dressed as Wonder Woman, and the super dressed as Iron Man. So we want to thank we really do want to thank all of the schools who allowed us to march in their parades with them, who had us join in. Also, it was nice, I went to Cherokee, we went to, maybe it's like almost every school.
We did four parades and
Four parades. Yeah, because I made it to Sycamore with you, Cherokee was awesome. I'm trying to think which ones we got. Idaho was awesome. We made it to Boston. There was a bunch that we made it to Boston. We were making it around. It was just unfortunate that some of them were at the same time, and we got caught in traffic on Ocean Avenue and had to change plans. But really beautiful job on Halloween. The kids were awesome. Thank you to all the PTA, same thing with the trunk or treats. And St. Halloween is always awesome. Thank you to the Piscatellis and the advisors over at the high school. They did a great job with that. It was very, very nice. Love going there every year. I wish I still had a small child. The same with me, I walk around by myself. It's very, very, join me when they did walk to us. I took it with me. But it was really, really nice. So thank you so much for including us in the parade, allowing us to be part of it. And next year, I hope that Dr. Sentinel gets even more dressed up than he did this year. This year, I was a little bit disappointed. I know that I pushed a little bit, but I'm glad that you dressed up.
I went from wearing no costume to coming full head to toe.
And I definitely advocated for that. For anyone who wants to know, I definitely advocated.
I think that's great that most of the elementary schools, if not all, did the parade, because for many years, we had tried to get Sycamore to do it, and it was great to see everybody joining in and kids having a great time. And yes, to the Piscatellis, great job. And the themes that the kids put together at the booths in the high school were creative and just so great, and they were amazing with the little ones that came by, so it was nice.
kid. One thing I just want to add, and it's not to be derogatory, but I gotta say this, I would love to, years ago, I had advocated for, it was only kindergarten, it was kindergarten, first grade, then it was just kindergarten, then it was, they could only wear book, elementary school to wear book covers. They had like make book covers and wear hats, like if it was Dr. Seuss, you wore a book cover of your favorite book, really hated that. I absolutely love that the kids could wear costumes, but I did not like, the only thing, and I'm not picking on any one school, I would love to see all schools across the board, especially elementary, do the parade and allow K to 5. I know it's building level, but I would love to advocate for, once again, I advocated before, to have all schools do K to 5, include them all in the parade. I love that Sycamore did that now. They included, that was something that I advocated many years ago as a parent on that side for Cherokee to move from kindergarten, first grade, kindergarten to third grade, and then finally we got them to do kindergarten to fifth grade. These kids were small only for a short time. Let the third, fourth, fifth graders enjoy the parade too. Believe it or not, they love it too.
They absolutely loved it, the older grades in those schools at Sycamore. They did love it. There's no reason, why we can't have them all do it.
When they get to middle school, it's not the same. They have their Halloween dances. Then at the high school, it's funny there with the Safe Halloween. But it would be nice to see equity across district, K to 5, all included in the parade. Let them all have fun. It's their last hurrah.
100% agree with that.
I will discuss it with the principals, thank you.
Fifth grade health lessons, Jackie DiLorenzo.
Yes, I did I went to the fifth grade health lesson, some might say dreaded puberty lesson. But I have to say, the teacher that was doing it, he was really, really fantastic. Great personality, really, really awesome. The one thing that I'd like to ask about, just because they're still little, has the possibility of having this course co-taught. So you also have a female teacher, so that when they do split up and they discuss those, conversations with the children, which could be embarrassing for them, the girls could just break apart and be with the female teacher, the boys with the male teacher, and have them co-teach. And this is, again, nothing against the teacher that was here. He really, great personality. I think the kids are going to love him. Just a thought, I'm just thinking of those young girls that might be a little more comfortable discussing those, or watching a video about those bodily changes with a man in the room. I'm just thinking of them. My daughter's not there yet, she's only second grade, but I'm thinking of her in 3 years. So, just wanted to say that, and parents, if you did miss it, the video was called Just Around the Corner. I think boys, and then Just Around the Corner girls, or maybe some male or female. You can find it on YouTube if you want to view it yourself. The song is very catchy, so beware. But it is out there if you did miss a meeting. There were a crazy amount of people here. A good amount, but it was all in fifth grade, and I was a little surprised to see such low attendance considering it was every single school. So there's just my thoughts about the fifth grade puberty lesson.
So, Mrs. DiLorenzo, when I left off with Mr. Mallory, he was going to explore the opportunity to have a female educator present that just around the corner, that third of 3 lessons. And so I will follow up with him in terms of where he left off regarding that search. The other 2 lessons, the one dealing with personal health and wellness, and the overview of the puberty education lesson were to be taught by the particular teacher who provided the parental overview. But that third lesson in this series, we were looking to perhaps present a female voice as well.
Okay, when they separate the boys and girls.
Right.
Okay, I appreciate that.
So let me just follow up with him to see where he left off.
Okay, thank you.
Conversation.
Thank you. It's a good point, Jackie. AP classes dual enrollment, Jackie DiLorenzo.
At the PTSA meeting, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was November 6th we went. And I do not have high school yet, but I will next year. I think that these AP class dual enrollment opportunities are fantastic, and I want to thank Mr. Poppy and Ms. LaFrance for doing the presentation to teach the parents about this. So I just wanted to maybe, and I think we can actually have a bigger conversation because the opportunities are wonderful for students to earn college credit. And I do know, from what I got out of that, there are 23 courses, I believe, that can be for dual enrollment, 29 AP courses. The dual enrollment courses, they earn credits towards Farmingdale, CW Post, St. John's, Stony Brook, Suffolk Community College. And if they are willing to do it, in the end, it costs a lot less than college credit. So it's really very worth it. The dual enrollment, they are way a little bit less than AP. They're at 1.05, similar to honors, where AP is 1.1. But I just wanted to see if maybe, Ms. Poppy, if you can give a quick overview. It was just so informative. I think it was fantastic. And I actually would love to see a bigger presentation for more students, more parents, so that they know that these opportunities are available to them.
I'm just going to jump on a second because I did ask Joe, Ms. Dr. Centimore, after that, if you come back and do a presentation so that the entire district can see it.
So I think there's a perfect opportunity when we have those academic presentations in January, when we have the secondary one, to incorporate, it's a perfect timing and perfect opportunity.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, just so everybody's aware of all the opportunities that are available to the students and to take advantage of them, really.
We'll absolutely encapsulate that presentation in the January curriculum presentation. And this way, before students select their classes, we can have an opportunity to inform parents about what's available to kids.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Veterans Day ceremonies, Jackie, you want to?
Yes, that's me again. I wanted to, first of all, we can't talk about Veterans Day without first thanking all of our veterans for the tremendous, tremendous service and sacrifice that they do for all of us, and thanking their families because it's a sacrifice for all of them. So thank you very much. And I do want to, I did get to go to the RMS, the ceremony RMS, and I was completely amazed at the job Ms. Wilcott does. It was fantastic that we started off, speaking with veterans, and then we came in here, and all of the students each had a flag for each branch of the military, and they played the song, and then they presented the flag. Those veterans stood that were part of that branch of the military, and the performance that he put on afterwards with the show choir, and when the students came up and they each spoke about, whoever wanted to, they spoke about somebody in their family. It was such a beautiful, beautiful tribute, and even the cards that were given out, they all had bundles of cards that they wrote for veterans, they gave them out. It really was amazing, and I wanted to just say it was a wonderful, wonderful ceremony, and we actually got to meet Dr. Centimore's dad, which I thought was really, really such an honor because he also served, and it's really beautiful to see what they do, and I know they do incredible things around the district. I did get to see the RMS one this month. You talk about the years, and what a job he did, what a job they do there.
So I had gone to Duffield the day before, and it was so cute. It was very nice. They did a beautiful job there. They were honoring the Veterans Day. They did a great job. I was able to make the high school, and I have to tell you that the flags were beautiful, and absolutely there was a student who gave a speech. He brought me to tears. I had to go up to him afterwards to say to him, the best speech I have probably heard in my life for Veterans Day. The best speech. I even said, I felt bad, it was on social media. I had told his parent that too. Excellent, excellent speech. I wish I would have recorded it. And I hope, and I would love if next year we can live stream. That's something I'd like to advocate for, because we live stream from RMS. I think that a high school, if they can, that would be a nice addition. Also, I have to say, I don't want to sound biased because I am an RMS parent, but I absolutely love the RMS Veterans Day. I've sent him one, he says this whole time, I tend to, it is incredible to see the principal and the staff, the teachers, the clerical, the gym teacher, just seeing the health teacher, and anyone else I missed, the musicians, the music teachers, on stage with the kids performing. It is incredible. It was beautiful. It was everything that you can imagine, and every year I say to Mr. Liccardo, you did a great job. It was perfect. And then the next year comes and I go, wow, you did the impossible. You fixed perfection. You went one step further. Every year they incorporate or add something. Last year they had Slocum come in, and the students from Slocum gave letters to the veterans. This year, the RMS kids gave packets of letters to the veterans. I mean, it was beautiful. The PTA did a beautiful spread. The 8th grade committee from RMS donated to the spread. It was really very nicely done. Bravo, thank you, and thank you to all the veterans across Connecticut for their service and sacrifice. Because honestly, without them and what they've done for our country, most of us, and a lot of us, would not be here and not be able to be free in this country. And I just want to say thank you.
So I am not biased because I am no BMS parent, but RMS puts on an amazing, Mr. Liccardo does such an amazing job. It was just, for the last 3 years I've been blown away by his Veterans Day presentation. And yes, thank you to all the veterans. Thank you for sacrificing your life for us. But RMS, amazing.
I have to say also to the custodians, because there were custodians on stage, so I apologize. I couldn't tell who the staff members were because they were all dressed up, but you guys rock. You did a great job for the kids. And honestly, for all of us that were here and all the veterans, you put on some show.
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to discuss?
I'm working on College 101. So, Mrs. Poppy, I wanted to find out if you knew about this. If Connecticut has, I looked in the book and I didn't see that exact course, but I wasn't sure if it was, because I had one of the old books from a few years ago, and it was Connecticut. I don't know if Connecticut has what Sachem has. Sachem has an awesome class. It's called College 101. I actually had a slideshow sent to me on the whole thing. It was amazing. It's a great elective for children wanting to learn about college. And it's how they get started with all of the college information. They work with the English department. They help them write, read, and edit their essays. So I was actually able to take some time to read some Sachem students' essays. Blew me away that these were high school students writing these essays. Not to say Connecticut kids don't write good essays, but I know people who pay $10,000 to a company to help their student in 11th grade actually get services for colleges. I wanted to advocate who don't have this, can we bring something like this in as on our wish list, or at least my wish list, because I think this may not help my kids because I have 11th grade now, but it will definitely help everyone else's kids. And I know for my own self as a parent, it has been a stressful year trying to navigate colleges, visits. I was at colleges all weekend looking at colleges, and I can tell you, stressful. So to the parents, bravo, who've gotten their kids, multiple kids through college, God bless you. Because it is not easy, and I think this kind of class, a friend of mine who's on the board at Sachem was able to give me information and share this with me. And I have to tell you, it is an incredible program, and I wish we had it here. We don't. Because I haven't heard that we have anything like that here, and I know that Sachem does, and it's awesome.
So I can reach out and listen to more about how they implement this particular course. I know that Mrs. Yoni Kohler has some dreams for our guidance department in terms of college and career readiness and providing opportunities for children to do exactly what you just shared, to brush up their essays in order for them to have, application-ready materials to know how to start that application process. So that's another avenue we can explore, but I will certainly look into this particular coursework.
I can share what I have, It's just that I don't know how to, I'm not a tech person, so I'm not techy. I can send it to you through cell phone. I can send it to you through a text. But I can't send it through, I got it through text, so I'll share it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I will now open the floor for the first public comment portion of the agenda. This public comment period is for the consent agenda items only. An additional public comment period will be held later in the meeting. Please raise your hand if you have a question or a comment on the consent agenda item. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve the financial matters items 2 through 9? Motion. Second. Are there any questions from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I call for a motion and a second to pull item number 1 from the instructional personnel agenda? Motion. Any questions on that?
Yeah, so we were discussing this in executive and I was told.
Hold on. Can I have a motion to approve the motion? I already pulled it.
have a motion. So you didn't get a vote you just got a motion.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Are you in favor of this? All in favor? Pull it.
What are you pulling?
We pulling item number 1 for a separate vote.
That's
from
fine.
the instructional. So I need an all in favor.
Yeah. Aye.
Aye. Any questions?
Yes. So the reason I wanted to pull for a separate vote is because, first, it is $15,000 to one of our directors. I didn't understand why we were paying it. I also didn't know it was part of grant money because it wasn't written on the content that I received. I also didn't see any other director's name receiving $15,000. So it was brought to my attention that this is part of a program from last year that is the Inventionalist program that the ELA director will oversee. Because they were overseeing it, they were giving them a $15,000 stipend. Now, we just received, thank you. We just employed a new ELA director, so I felt that this portion of it should have been put into that contract that she'd oversee this, he or she would oversee this part also. I don't agree I don't want to say wasting, but giving $15,000 to one director, not others, and maybe using this money in other areas of the school. So I asked for a separate vote because I am not for this money being spent.
And like I had said in executive, I can say I'm here too, because I was the one who kept saying, this is not meant for executive, this is public content, and it wasn't said to be rude, it was factual. This is public content to be spoken about in public. You had asked me if I knew about it, and I did. I'll tell them, so didn't know, didn't remember, whatever the case may be. I knew about it because it was grant money that was sent to us by email. Mrs. Poppy had explained it to us. This is what happens when you have an inexperienced board who doesn't understand that you have to ask questions instead of making allegations.
We're here to just discuss.
No, I'm speaking, you're cutting me off.
Yes,
Okay, I'm speaking. When you're speaking, I allow you to speak, please allow me to speak. It's respectful. So, the $15,000 had you asked these questions and allowed her to answer you, you would know that this money was from grants. You would also know that this money saves the district from hiring another position. So now add another position, fast forward. We would be spending over $100,000 with benefits. So when you give a stipend to somebody for taking on extra work for a period of 1 or 2 years, because the grant covers for the 2 years, this is how you can save money if the person's willing to do the extra work and is within the parameters of their position. If this board would communicate more, instead of again, constantly not wanting to work together, or realize that there are people on the board who have a little bit of experience, not a lot, but a little bit, and can actually help you if you just open your ears and listen.
You know, I did listen, and I know it's grant money, and like I said, $30,000 to one person. My problem is, as a businesswoman, if we had a new position open, we should have incorporated this in and saved ourselves $15,000. Put that grant money towards something else.
So you want to
That's my opinion.
You want to add more work onto the overworked people. Okay, I wanted to say that in public. I was
There's no
waiting.
other directors who also
And
take.
the directors have contracts. They are a union. They have contracts. They also have positions that have what their job responsibilities are. One school board member, not even the whole school board, doesn't have the right to say, I'm going to add 15 different things to a job, but we're not going to pay that person more.
This was not brought up to have an argument. It was actually just brought up that this is my opinion, that's your opinion.
Okay, my opinion is when you ask contractual issues, that we should follow
This has
recommendations.
nothing to do with the contract now, we're giving
It's,
extra money.
we're giving a stipend, it's called, a stipend. You should look into a stipend.
Well, I just wanted to ask, as far as these extra duties that this position had, and I know that part of your issue is the fact that no other director is given this money when the other director is asked to do those duties, because that could possibly be why they weren't offered that money as well, if I could just ask that.
Sure, so through this process, and I spoke a little bit earlier about the instructional interventionist. So it was a programmatic creation. You know, it's not necessarily a responsibility that is embedded in any one existing director's purview, per se, right? So it was the creation of a program that involved curriculum writing, that involved training opportunities for teachers to solidify their knowledge about instructional interventions, to deliver them. There are ongoing meetings, there are evaluations, there is data collection, and all of those pieces, because they don't exist in our system, we felt that there had to be somebody acting in a supervisory capacity in order to oversee the program, in order for it to gain traction, and I think ultimately have the most impact. We felt that it was the best bang for the buck. We had discussions with the directors about this opportunity, and one particular director, who is currently a director, is fulfilling the role currently, but it was nowhere in anyone's job description. So there's a level of new here that you wouldn't necessarily, see replicated in anybody's existing duties.
So that would be why no other director was also offered that same amount. They weren't doing those duties.
Right, exactly. So this is a unique set of duties to a unique set of individuals, and I think it's important to mention that it's not within one specific subject area, right? So our interventionist work in literacy skill as well as mathematics skill, it depends upon the student's needs. So it's not embedded, and I can see where Ms. Pianatelli was coming from in terms of saying, like, well, is this part of the purview of an ELA director because we're working on literacy skills? But it could be either subject area, either discipline.
Well, it seems she was very clear in stating that she wanted it added to the person's role or position, wanted it just to be added. And I don't think she understands, which is understandable, but that you can't just say, you know what, here's 15 things, let's add it to a director. And then say, good luck when you can't get your regular work done because now you have all these extra responsibilities. I don't know anyone in this district that would be willing to take on 16 different things extra for no extra pay. I don't know anyone, and I'm just saying this because we can't continue to give more work to people and expect then everything to come out perfect. Because obviously at some point people are going to run very thin and something is going to get lost. And I don't want anybody falling through cracks. I don't want the job that she or anyone's doing to be, made impossible or hard.
I just hope all our chairs work.
I'm in the middle of speaking. I once said that I believed if we had a position, for instance, like the assistant director of mental health, we were talking about putting in. And I said I would be fine with helping both. That if the person was going to do half special ed, half mental health, and help both directors. Because if you're going to add a position, there's got to be some validity to what you're doing, price-wise, being fiscally responsible. This is fiscally responsible. We're using grant money, which I understand. Some didn't know about it because they don't ask the questions. They just insinuate we're just adding money to a director's salary, which is how it came out. And that's not it. So the $15,000 is actually saving money if you try to make another position with health benefits and other benefits, which is what I was trying to explain in executive and that this was a public conversation.
I think the point April was trying to make was that since it's on the instructional personnel and it just says 15,000, that it was not clear if that was coming from district funds or from a grant.
Well, then she should read her email, because her email is accusatory. Her email is clearly accusatory.
Again, we're not here to put each other down. We're here to.
Well, you continue to cut me off, but then talk about when I cut you off. You should really learn how to wait your turn. What you tried to do was speak about things that are public content in executive. And what I did was have legal explain to you clearly that it was not executive content.
Okay, so can I get a motion and a second to approve item number 1? This is just a motion to approve it, it's not a vote to approve it.
Motion.
I need a second. So April, how do you vote?
No.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Jackie Napolitano?
Yes.
Yes. Brian Murphy? Yes. Motion carries. So can I get a motion and a second to approve the instructional and non-instructional personnel items as amended?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
No,
Oh, the rest of the personnel, okay. Yes, on the yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to pull item number 8 for a separate vote?
Motion. We also have to pull the other one.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Can I get, are there any questions on number 8? Can I get a motion and a second?
So what number are you going up to?
I'm just doing 8 right now.
Okay.
The CTA grievance monitoring.
Yep.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve item number 8?
Motion.
I'm going to do a roll call vote. April?
Yes.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
If we vote yes, it's denied.
That's what I want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jackie Napolitano?
Yes.
I'm a no. Brian Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 7 and 9 through 23 of the consent agenda?
Motion.
Hold on, there's stuff I want to pull. Number 18 has to be pulled for a second.
You want to pull 18?
Yeah.
Can I get a motion and a second to pull number 18 for a separate vote?
Motion. Second.
Any questions on number 18? Can I get a motion and a second to vote on number 18, AP US History textbook adoption?
Motion.
I'll do a roll call vote. April?
Yes.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
Well, like I said with the plan, as long as we stick to the topics, the academic content, and we don't sway one way or the other, we keep it purely academic, and I confirm that that's how we will continue with this before I vote.
Yes.
And I'm yes.
Jackie Napolitano, firm?
I was not given the other books that I wanted to see, so on that alone, there was other books I wanted to see, the books that some of the other districts used, including Jericho and some of the other districts when I was in the meeting. I understand that it's too late now, so I'm just going to vote no for that reason.
I am a yes. Brian Murphy? Motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to approve items through to 7, 9 through 17, and 19 through 23?
Okay, hold on, yes. Okay, you know that number 3 and 4, when we get to that, I want to get a sending issue?
No, it's done separately.
Yeah, okay.
So this is just the consent agenda right now. Just need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Old business. Can I call for a motion and a second to rescind the appointment of Ingerman Smith LLP to conduct an investigation on behalf of the Board of Education in connection with certain claims brought pursuant to Board Policy 0115 submitted by the individual certified in confidential Schedule A, originally approved at the October 24, 2023 Board of Education meeting?
This is number 1, correct?
This is number 1. I need a motion and a second.
Motion. Second.
And I'll do a roll call vote. April?
Yes.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Jackie Napolitano?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Brian Murphy? Motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to appoint the law firm of Jody Finer Esquire to conduct the investigation on behalf of the Board of Education in connection with certain claims for pursuant to Board Policy 0115 submitted by the individual identified in confidential Schedule A, and hereby authorize the President of the Board of Education to execute a retainer agreement in order to effectuate said services.
Motion.
I'll do a roll call vote. April?
Yes.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Jackie Napolitano?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Brian Murphy? Motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to rescind the appointment of Ingerman Smith LLP to conduct an investigation on behalf of the Board of Education in connection with certain allegations of misconduct as more fully discussed in executive session, and hereby authorizes the President of the Board of Education to execute a retainer agreement in order to effectuate said services originally approved on the October 24, 2023 Board of Education meeting.
Motion. Motion. Motion, she's motion, I'm second.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. April?
No.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
Yes.
Jackie Napolitano?
Yes.
I'm a no. Brian Murphy?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Can I call for a motion and a second to appoint the law firm of Ingerman Smith LLP to conduct an investigation on behalf of the Board of Education in connection with certain allegations of misconduct as more fully discussed in executive session, and hereby authorizes the President of the Board of Education to execute a retainer agreement in order to effectuate said services.
Motion.
I'll do a roll call vote. April?
Yes.
Jackie DiLorenzo?
No,
Jackie Napolitano?
I'm a no, and should I make a statement now?
Sure.
Okay. So this investigation, because it is about me, I am entitled to self-identify as per the law. So I am confident, beyond reasonable doubt, that justice will prevail, especially with video proof. So I am a no to wasting $15,000 or more on something like this that could be done internally.
Deals do not lie.
Thank you.
No.
I am a yes. Brian Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries. I will now open the floor to the open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a number card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president only. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more specific topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. The use of foul language and threatening comments will not be tolerated, and the board will consider recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend the time. Person number 1.
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Perfetta. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I am addressing this to the board president. You will be getting a follow-up email from cmperfettacells@gmail after this, little brief comment. There are a few things I want to bring up that shouldn't be a surprise to the board. I've been hearing since, I would say, or probably August and since then, a lot of the same words. I do want to say there's good and cruel in everything. I do believe that there is staff at Connecticut that does a good job and they're devoted and they care about these children. However, I think some of these children, based on what has been brought to my attention, doesn't always work out that way. I hear words like quality control. I hear words like doing right by parents. I hear words like whatever it might be, accountability. So now this is what I'm going to say, accountability. And we talked a lot about IEPs and 504s today. And the truth is, I brought this up before to the board. And there have been community members that have been speaking together. There has to be an end, basically, to not being able to follow through with children's 504s and IEPs. It is not consistent. We can't expect from one school year to the next school year, 3 months in, we still can't figure it out. It's unfair and it's cruel. It has to stop. The way the board wants accountability for what they believe strongly in, we have to respect parents within the community. Things have to be done. There seems to be no fear and no backlash to staff that's not following through. Again, not everyone. But let's keep in mind we have FAPE, we have IDA, we have the Rehabilitation Act, we have the American Disability Act, we have human rights, we have civil rights, we have personal injury. It goes on and on. I don't understand why we're hearing stories that kids are being threatened when they're coming back from being sick, being threatened that they didn't finish a test when they had extra time, being asked not to go in a testing room, but instead a computer lab, where there's special ed kids screaming and stimulating over the top. I don't understand what's happening. I'm speaking now on a big group. This doesn't look like it's going to end well if we don't get some kind of control. I'm being passionate, as many of you are up there. I'm not meaning it in a mean way. I would like the district and the appropriate staff to have a passion the way this is being, shared with you. It's talked about all the time, It's cruelty, like I said. There could be more and more examples. Children have.
I'm just going to need you to wrap it up.
I will. Children are leaving to go to other schools in their senior years. It goes on and on. I have to be honest, it's a very hard thing to take in because kids are getting therapy. Kids are going on homeschool, home instruction. Where's the accountability? Somebody has to look over what the teachers are not doing because they don't get in trouble, they just keep on with their day.
Thank you. I will have someone get in touch with you. Hopefully we can resolve your issues. I just want to add to this, so you know.
Yes.
This has to be something that is looked into because in the past, we have had issues in years prior about there have been some people that didn't see that a child had a 504 or that a child had an IEP. And if people would say it was accidental, whatever the case may be, but you are right that that we do need to do better in making sure that our students' IEPs and 504s are met.
Jackie, may I comment on that?
Yes.
Thank you. When it is brought to the attention of the staff of the Connecticut that have, positions to really understand, as parents, we're hearing that it's a situation where, no, they definitely were told in the beginning, we know they signed off, doesn't mean that consent that they read through it. Oh no, they sat with the principal, they sat with the guidance counselor. It's a constant push down, and it's a constant situation where they look at the parents and they say, we'll fix it, don't worry. The damage that is being done to children, being told they're going to get their tests graded before they're even finished, like they're being punished for having a 504. It is absurd, it is cruel, it is outrageous, and it has to stop, truthfully.
It's 100% agree. Thank you for bringing that to light. Number 2.
Good evening, everyone. Always a comment and then a question. So my comment has to do with, you were talking about testing and how important it is for us to move forward to make sure our students are engaged in rigorous, classwork so they test well. I just think it's important, we had talked earlier about alternative assessments. Not about, our students are bright and they're capable, but not all of them test well. And we have to keep that in mind, that some children just might have test anxiety, some might just have processing issues, and a year's worth of material might not come through on one test at the end of the school year. So that's my comment. My question is, at the last board meeting, I had asked for some information about transportation. I had asked for the capacity numbers on the buses. I asked what the plan was if a bus had more students than the capacity, how we handle that. I do know after speaking to people that it has been an issue within this last 3-week period since the last board meeting. I do know that we are back to sports, so maybe the last few days things have been a little bit easier and a little bit lighter, but I still would like to know what the capacity is on the bus, as well as how many seats are on a regular standard bus.
Thank you. Mr. Hudson, do you have that information now, or should we contact the parent later?
I have your email address, I will email you that information.
So that information over the last 3 weeks was not looked into, or was it?
I will communicate it to you by email.
Okay, is that not something, information that can be made public, or you just don't have the information?
I don't have that information here with me now.
Well, I hope to hear from you soon, since it's already been 3 weeks.
Thank you. We'll have a meeting in contact with you for sure. Thank you. Number 3. Number 4.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Morris, and I am a Connecticut graduate, and 3 of my children are graduates as well. I know there's a lot of angst here today, but I wanted to say something positive at least. All three of my children have excelled thanks to their excellent education and the variety of programs offered at Connecticut. Today in Newsday, the subject of financial literacy was introduced as a discussion point on a state level, and I was wondering why this has not already been implemented at Connecticut. 6 years ago, there was a committee formed, and a major discussion point was the topic, the course of personal finance literacy. I would like to ask the board to revisit the idea of making this course a requirement for all of the high school students. Although the course falls into the category of business, each and every student would benefit from the criteria taught in this class. 3 of my children, all 3 of them, have taken personal finance literacy. The class was a constant topic of conversation in my home. The excitement of what was being taught led to many family discussions and a lot of discussion and learning about life. 2 of my children did go on to business. One is a job in finance for a home health care firm, and others a CPA for a top 4 accounting firm. My 3rd child is completing her doctorate in physical therapy. Personal finance literacy teaches our children all aspects of real life preparedness. Topics like, should I buy or lease a car, own or rent a home? How can I manage my money with or without a college degree? How can I afford additional costs that go along with living on my own? The course teaches money management, checks, balances, sales, and income tax, credit cards, interest rates, and many other aspects for real life success. This is not only a business major class, it is for every student that enters Connecticut. As important as learning math, English, and our history, it is equally important to teach our children how to deal with everyday life and being an independent adult in the world today. Based on the course criteria and relevance to adult life after graduation, I ask that you revisit the addition of personal finance literacy as a requirement for graduation for all students. Our ultimate goal at Connecticut is to send our children out into the world with all the knowledge and skills to succeed. Personal finance literacy is the key to this success. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. So I appreciate your comments. That's actually one of the things I've advocated for greatly. My son graduated from Connecticut. He graduated through the business program. That was one of the classes that taught him most about life in general after school. My daughter is taking it now. And there is a curriculum committee in Connecticut, and one of the things on is trying to see if we can fit personal finance as a mandate or...
It was nice to see it was in Newsday today, specifically that, as I was coming here today, before that even came out, but
Yeah,
just want to thank you for considering that.
Thank you. Number 5.
All right, a couple of things. Yeah, I was shocked about the nurse thing too, but the reason that I was told also that we have to consider, while I do agree that the nurses are definitely more than qualified to provide medical care, is that if a child has a reaction to anything you put on their skin, that could be problematic and cause a liability for the districts. And we do live in a litigious society, so that's great for lawyers, but not for the school districts, so something to consider. But I do agree that soap and water is the only thing that a nurse could do is absurd. The other question I have is, what's the dollar amount that the board's going to stop out with the Thunderbird lawsuit? Do we have a dollar amount, or are we just going to fight this to the bitter end? Because
we don't have a set dollar amount. Right now we're at 25,000. We're trying to see where that gets us to.
So if you get to that and then it has to go further?
Then we'll go to a free discussion, we vote.
All right, so the other thing too is that, well, Ms. Coffey, I do appreciate that you contacted Niche regarding our school rating, because quite honestly, that's really concerning. They can't be 100% correct, but they're not 100% wrong. So it's interesting that we wanted to spread surveys at this, but we sent out that god-awful T-Bird survey that I could have submitted 500 of them. I did not, because I have other things to do. But it was incredibly flawed. You could have done it as many times as you wanted. But the other thing I also want to point out is that we're not, even if the survey is flawed, we're not going to jump from 173 to school district 25. So in the past, during the issue, we've been in like the 160s. But if you actually want to look up some real data, you can go on data.newyorkstate.ed.gov. You can look at the archives all the way back to 1998 to 1999, that school year. It gives you such a comprehensive look at, you can put in our school district, you can compare it to any other school district in the state. It gives you everything from the amount of students, it tells you the demographics, it tells you how well they scored, how many graduated, how many dropped out, what type of diplomas they had. It is such a comprehensive data set from the New York State Education Department, so it's not flawed in any way. Well, I mean, everything has a flaw, but it's not based on surveys, it's actually based on facts. So that's something that we should strive for. And of course, I do want to add, because yes, this does irritate me. For years, we were striving to be a lighthouse school, and we should have been striving to be blue ribbon schools. We talk about how we want to be a higher level of school district, but we have to have buy-in from that. Schools like Jericho, you have to understand, it's a lot more complicated than just having excellent teachers and excellent students. Our students are excellent. Our teachers are excellent. But there's a socioeconomic component to it, and there's also an expectation from the community also. Not that we don't expect our children to do well, it's a different type of competitiveness in some of these communities, that we're just a little bit different. Not bad, not worse, not better, not anything. We just are, and I think our kids are fantastic, and I'm so proud of all of them, especially.
What was that website again? Ms. Kitty, I'm sorry. I think
Data.nysed.gov.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Number 6.
Good evening. I'm a 92 graduate who just recently moved back into Connecticut District. I just want to make sure I heard this correctly, and I want the people at home to make sure they understand this correctly. So this board, 3 out of 5, has agreed to have a lawsuit, retain an attorney for $15,000 of the community's money for something that I have on video because there's a witch hunt for my sister. So let me try and figure this out. So someone wants to put a complaint in on her while she's sitting in a chair, videoing them. And Marisol, thank you, because you had to stop the person from approaching me by physically putting your hands on them. So what I want to know is how can the 3 of you sit up there and say it's okay to spend 15 grand of this community's money when you have it on video? And anybody at home that's got a question, I have the video. Feel free to message me.
Thank you, and welcome back to Connect Farm. Number 7.
We don't want to spend $15,000 on a director who we're asking to do more work, who's under contract to do X. We're now asking them to do X plus, but we don't want to give them plus money. But we will start by wasting $15,000, it's not grant money, it's actual tax money, to try and unseat a duly elected board member who received more votes than any of the 4 others when she ran. So you're basically usurping the will of the voter to say this person should not be a board member because she's a little rough around the edges, because she speaks her mind. Over 2,000 people voted for her. You can't just send away 2,000 voters and say, we're sorry, your votes don't count anymore.
Thank you. Number 8.
I too would like to condemn the board's action on that retainer for an attorney for an investigation, which I too have a video of if anybody's interested. You have to be obtuse to not understand what occurred during that video. So as a taxpayer, a parent, and a resident, I'm just appalled.
Thank you. Okay. So the board was advised.
You put it down, you could have voted it down. Stop.
There are implications if you don't investigate.
No, they can sue you.
Does anybody?
The district.
We have in the past investigated board members before, and it's never gone anywhere because, again, because it gets investigated by an outside agency, and there we go. But the reality is, we've also gone the other way, where the board has had a inside person, at the time it was Mrs. Gail Santos, who investigated it from PBS as an intern. This investigation, I am looking forward to justice prevailing, and once again, showing the community that 500 people can come at me, and I will still be standing.
Thank you. Can I call for, there's nobody else, right? There was only 8 cards? Can I call for a motion and a second to adjourn the Board of Education meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.